All right, recording's in progress. All right, I'm muting and I'm turning off my camera. Tyler, it's all you.
Oh, everybody muted themselves. Okay. Hi again. I'm back. I will fly through a recap of those first couple of slides and I will do my darndest to get us out of here exactly on time. So we'll fly through this content. It'll be good. And I'm going to share my screen. Hello and welcome to the screen. Thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, okay, perfect, beautiful. So just like before, we were interrupted by some internet people, how rude. We're gonna talk about design thinking. It's something you hear all the time in the tech industry. It's something that's a really great skill to have, but a lot of times it's presented as a very abstract concept, right? Or it's not explained at all. So my name's Tyler King. I'm a design research lead at IBM, and I do design and design research all the time. So we're gonna talk about design thinking. Maybe we'll do some if we have time, but we'll talk about how you can apply these skills that we'll cover in the hackathon experience if you are doing the hackathon, or in your day-to-day work life if you are not doing the hackathon. But so we talked about how design as a practice is not about making things pretty. It's really a focus on people, because people are at the center of like literally everything we do, right? We make products, people buy them. We do hackathon things, and ideally we are, solving problems for people. If your product is good, if your hackathon idea is good, it's helping somebody, it's solving a problem. Otherwise, no one's going to buy it. It's not going to like serve a purpose, really. It's just making for the sake of making. And like, that's just wasteful. And so for me, when I solve a problem, it helps if I have a framework or a process to do it, instead of just like looking at a problem as a giant mountain, a void, and saying, good luck. I don't know what to do. It's very scary. But design really puts a structured process around solving problems with a human focus. And the specific framework that IBM uses to solve problems and use design as a concept is enterprise design thinking. It's our own brand of design thinking that we use to uniquely scale our own practices, because IBM is a huge company. We have like 400,000 employees. We're the size of Iceland. Very cool. But there's literally only 3 steps to design thinking. Super easy. It's like the scientific method, if you think about it. The 3 steps to design thinking are observe, reflect, and make. Super easy, right? You observe the world around you. So, you gather data, you see, if you're building a product, you go see the problems that your users or humans are experiencing in the world, or you go and see how people are using your product, right? So that's observation. And then you reflect on what you have observed and work together with your team to make sure you're aligned and have a common understanding, a shared understanding. And then you go and you make something. Maybe you form a hypothesis and then you're going to go test it. Or maybe you make like a vision statement or a prototype or an actual product or something. And you put it out into the world. And then you reflect on what you've made, make sure you're aligned again. And then you go and observe that thing, right? Did I have a hypothesis. I want to test it. I want to see how my prototype is being adopted, or how easy or challenging it is for people to use my prototype. I want to see how adoption of my product is going. Are people really struggling with it? Are people hating it? Do people really like it? Is it solving a problem, right? So all you have to do, observe, reflect, and make. And it really comes down to making decisions that are driven by data and not just making things that we think are going to be cool. So at the end of the day, humans, your users that are using whatever you're making, are at the center of everything that you're doing. That's really who you want to put first. Users should be your North Star during design processes, and really just throughout the entire problem solving or product making process, right? And just so everybody knows, users are like your protagonists. They are the people actually using your product. They are the people impacted by the decisions that you're making. So what does that actually mean in the real world? I just talked about design is an abstract concept. So I'm a design researcher, right? So I tell people that my job as a researcher really comes in during that observe stage of design thinking. My job is to work with those users, so like customers, to make sure that IBM is building stuff that is actually going to help people. I go and I find problems for IBM to solve. I go and find gaps in experiences so that we're actually filling those gaps instead of just making stuff that we think is cool. And then I take that data, I pass it off to my team, and we as a collective make sure that whatever we're building is as easy as possible to use. And I do like testing after the fact, with prototypes, with real live products to make sure that what we're putting out into the world is easy and continuing to solve this problem we thought it was solving. Because we don't want to make anything based off of assumptions, right? You know what they say, never assume. But there are lots of different types of designers out in the world. So I'm a researcher, I go and collect data. If this is like an interesting topic to you and you want to look at like design careers, there are also UX designers, there are user experience designers, there's visual designers who do make things visually appealing and accessible and on brand and create a visual language. There's also content designers who are like, I don't even know, they're like word wizards. I don't know how they do what they do, but they are all about language and words and writing and content. So they're awesome, but there's lots of different designers, and we all come together with our engineers and our business people, and we make products that are actually going to help people. And so I just mentioned engineers and business people. We also have marketing and sales. So design really isn't just for designers. Design is for everybody on a team, because we should all be putting our users first and putting our customers first, or whoever's life we're trying to make better. So the way you do this as a team is just start by acknowledging you are not your user, and that's totally fine. When I worked in Z, my primary users were systems programmers, and I also had like data scientist users, right? And I am never going to be a data scientist. It sounds crazy hard, and I don't have the brain power. I don't know. I'm more of like on the art side. I don't have like a brain hardwired for data scientists or being a data scientist, but that is totally okay, because what I can do is go and find data scientists or whoever's life I'm trying to improve and talk to them. And so can you. It's super easy. Go find somebody on LinkedIn. Or maybe if you're trying to solve a problem that's close to home, go and talk to one of your friends. They might be the person whose life you're trying to improve, right? And ultimately, it's up to us as people who aren't our users, but trying to serve somebody, to build empathy for them. Empathy is, shared understanding and, sharing feeling for the problems of another person. You might not fully understand someone's pain points, but you can empathize with somebody. Make sure you acknowledge that the pain that they're feeling is valid, and go and try to help mitigate their pain points. And so this is what we're going to talk about in the last couple of minutes. We're going to do a little bit of design thinking, just give you a little snapshot of it, but there are templates online, I think, that we have for you so you can do them. And I have links to like other resources. So no pressure to absorb this all right now, but I'll give you a little taste. So your life has super totally changed since COVID, right? Last year, if you guys are the hackathon folks, like, and you're still in school, right? Last year you had to do school like almost all online, and that was probably strange and isolating, right? This year, I think you're back in the classroom, maybe. So, your life has changed. You have to wear masks and it's scary. We can't breathe on each other. I think that I've heard that like folks in schools like have to sit in the same spot every day so they can do like contact tracing. So like if Joe Schmo gets sick, like we can tell everybody that's been in contact with Joe, and then you have to go and stay home for like a week or two. And like, I don't know. So it sounds really hard for you guys, right? I'm sure that you have a lot of pain points in this area. But now I want you to not think about you for a sec. And I want you to think about your parent or guardian right now. So this, whoever is at home that has to make sure you get to school okay, who has to pay the bills, feed you maybe, make sure you're okay, who like cares about your well-being, who is that person? Think about them, okay? Think of an image in your mind of your mom or, you know, whoever, your grandma, somebody at home. And the way I like to start design thinking is, you know, framing a problem that I think we want to solve, or a problem area at least. So let's think about this problem. How might we improve the lives of our parents or guardians in this weird COVID world? Okay, so we're going to do an exercise together, and it is called an empathy map. And I'm going to be your hands. I'm going to be your scribe, and I will be typing for us. But we have an empathy map, and it's a circle, and it has 4 quadrants. And those 4 quadrants are says, thinks, does, and feels. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to do a big brain dump of what your parents and guardians are saying, thinking, doing, and feeling, you know, around their lives during this pandemic. What have you noticed? What have you observed? And the outcome of this is going to be kind of a collage of all of your different parent and guardian experiences, so that we can have kind of someone that's representative of our collective truth. So I'm going to switch to a different screen, maybe, if you can see it, not all the emails, but this screen. Can you guys see this new screen that I have up that's not a PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I have already given this fake parent or guardian a face. It is Nani from Lilo and Stitch. It's fine. I love her. She's great. But if you guys can type in the chat or ask for permission to say words with your mouths, tell me what your parent or guardian is saying, what you've heard them say during the pandemic. Let's take like 1 to 2 minutes to just type in the chat. What are they saying? What do you hear them saying? And what are they thinking about? What do you think that they're thinking about? And I will start until I start to see stuff in the chat or hear voices. Yulia, feel free to chime in. Anybody that's a co-host, chime in, but anybody that, yes, wear your mask. I see it. Okay, so yeah, mom is telling you to wear your mask. That's perfect. Tell me more things. What else are you hearing? My mom was like, make sure you get vaxxed. Like, let's go and make sure. I see paying bills. Yes, telling you to wash your hands. Yeah, my mom, right before the pandemic, I went on like one of the last cruises, and my mom was like, I have packed you a Ziploc bag of gloves and hand sanitizer and wipes, wipe down the cabin. So yeah, your parent also might have a fear of the vaccine. Scared of vax. Or he or she might be scared of anti-vaxxing people. Impacts. Always pack extra masks. Extra masks. Beautiful. How do you think fear for grandparents? I'm going to put that in feelings. Clean and disinfect. Cleaning, disinfecting. Don't touch doorknobs. Yeah, I don't touch doorknobs. Nope. Don't touch doorknobs. I don't know how to spell knobs. Okay, cool. I don't think I did that right. Oh, maybe I did. Don't hug anyone. Okay. I wish I could travel and get away more. I broke it. Whoops. Whoopsies. I wish, I can't spell, could travel more. Okay. Need a vacation. Yeah. I need a vacay. These are great. Oh, they can't meet up with friends. I'm gonna put that in does. Keep these coming. These are great. Be careful. Don't be afraid. That's sweet. I love it. Run if you what? I don't know. Oh, frustration. She feels frustration. Okay. Tell me more about these feelings you think. Avoids social things. Run if you're around someone who coughs or sneezes. Run away from coughs and sneezes. Go home. Okay. Okay. These are wonderful. Yes, I see a feeling. Loneliness. I spelled that wrong. Whoops. Concern. This is unfair. Oh, these are wonderful. Oh no. Okay. More anxiety. Okay, these are really, really wonderful things. I love this. I mean, it's not wonderful that your parents or guardian feel this way. Disconnected. Cabin fever, same, yo. I had some crazy cabin fever and I moved. I was like, I have to move. And I made a huge life decision how to just move. Optimistic. Oh, that's true. My dad started a new job and he is like running the social media for a company and he does not know how to do it. So I'm running the social media. So I'm teaching him about Instagram. So that's very fun. Not sure how to use tech. That's not the right spelling. Tech. Okay. Well, I moved to North Carolina, so it's lovely and sunny today. Okay, beautiful. So these are perfect. Thank you guys for humoring me and doing this with me. This was great. So I know we're coming up on time. So normally what I would do is we would take these Post-it notes and we would cluster them, right? This is like real stuff that I do with my team every day. So we've put everything ish that we know, we've observed, that we think we know about our protagonist. This is Nani. But this is everything that we're pretty sure we know about her, right? And what we would normally do is take these Post-it notes and move ones that are pretty similar close together. So we would start to see like patterns. So some of them are like, I see a lot of themes around, your mom or parent or whoever is nervous and they're telling you, go home if you're sick, don't hug anybody. If there's sneezes, get out of there, right? So that seems to be something that she is like obviously concerned. But I love this one right here about, hey, don't be afraid. I don't want you to like be impacted too horribly negatively. And then personally, on like a personal level, there seems to be a lot of themes around like having cabin fever and wishing she could be more social and go outside or go on a trip and just get out, right? So these are a lot of really great pain points that we've identified. She's scared, she's concerned, she just wants you to be safe, and she wants her family to be safe. I saw something about grandparents. She also has to pay her bills and, change her life to make sure that your life is better, right? At least she is in Hawaii, where we are not allowed to go right now, or we're not advised to go to Hawaii. So what I want you guys to do, we just talked through some pain points, right? We talked about Nani. Take literally like 60 seconds, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and I want you to sketch up an idea really fast that could help Nani. Think about her specific pain points around trying to make your life easier. She's nervous, she has cabin fever, she's really scared about her family. Take 1 minute and sketch an idea to mitigate her pain points. It doesn't have to mitigate all of the pain points, but we want to mitigate some of her pain points. So 60 seconds, grab a piece of paper. I will play on my phone for 60 seconds. I don't know. I will be looking at my clock. And then I'm going to ask somebody to maybe get permission to come off of mute. and share your idea, or else Yulia or Pat or Anna, you're going to be one of my guinea pigs. Because I didn't come up with an idea for this because I didn't know what would happen. Sketch. Yeah, I will pull up the page again. Here you go. Let's take like 30 more seconds as I move around and play in this mural. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of things. A lot of loneliness, concern and fear, not fair, anxiety, but hopeful. I love it. This is me clustering to kill some time. Avoid antisocial things, doesn't know how to use tech, got to pay the bills, got to clean, and avoiding social things. So a lot of things around avoiding social stuff and cleaning. So if anybody is allowed to come off of mute, or someone who has powers would like to share their idea, I would love to hear an idea or two.
You can raise your hand if you want to be unmuted. Any kind of reaction, raise hand. If you want to speak up, speak out.
Yep. You can also, wave in the camera. That'll help too.
No pressure, but a little pressure so that I'm not just here by myself being awkward. Ooh, I got one from Colin. Oh, I love it. Thanks, friends. I love you guys. So I guess we'll have Colin and then Connor go, and then we'll wrap up.
Perfect.
Guess one of the ideas I had would be, I guess if this is like current COVID like situation, it'd be to, if everyone's vaccinated, go over to a friend's house and have like a cleaning party. So if anyone has concerns about getting sick, you can address those by, Lysoling the walls, making sure you can kill the germs you can, and have a few drinks or whatever you like to do with your friends or family to like address the feelings of loneliness or cabin fever that were in the bottom right corner.
I love it. That's what my friends and I did. We were like, we are each other's bubble. We're all vaccinated. We are only each other's friends, no new friends. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah.
That was a great idea. I think it would help. Sorry, go ahead. Or not. All right. Thank you for being our brave soldier and being the first to volunteer. Let's have Connor go, and then we'll finish up so we have time for the next speaker and like a coffee break.
Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay. So my idea as something that to create is maybe a social media platform or like forum thing specific for people affected by the pandemic mentally, for them to like talk to each other about their problems and like find comfort in each other. That was my idea.
Oh, I love it. And I love that we have two ideas that are super, super different, and they're both mitigating similar pain points, right? So that is awesome. And thank you both for doing that and sharing with us. So you guys noticed we had one idea that was very like human centric and like, it's not a product, it's not a technical offering, it's an experience, right? We want to get together as a family, right? And our friends. And then we have something on the opposite end of the spectrum that is a technical experience. It's, a technical solution, a platform. And so there's no right or wrong answer necessarily. We have identified the pain points and we started to solve problems focused on Nani, our protagonist, right? And that is really what I want you guys to do during this hackathon. that's how I want you guys to start approaching the hackathon, because the best ideas are going to be ideas that solve a problem and solve a problem with purpose and intent, right? You guys probably have a lot of cool ideas, and it's going to be very tempting to like go in solution first. But try to make sure that at the end of the day, you are solving a problem, because otherwise you're just making something for the sake of making. And remember that humans are at the center of everything that we do and every problem that we solve. So really, if you're thinking of a solution, if you're thinking of a problem, make sure you're thinking of the human people that are going to be impacted by the work that you're doing. And throughout the hackathon, if you can, like, if it's like a parent or guardian or a computer science person or like a store owner or a teacher, if you can call someone real fast, talk to them for 10, 15 minutes, ask them some questions, try to gather data from other humans in your life if they are your end user, quote unquote. And at the end of the day, approach this hackathon, approach any innovation you're doing with the intent of altruism, which is trying to make someone's life better. You want to serve the greater good of the world and not try to introduce negativity. You want to help people, right? So we have some templates on the website, I guess, for you guys if you want to do a similar exercise, kind of rapid fire with your team. And it extends beyond that. So you'll come up with ideas and then you'll vote on, how feasible is this idea and how impactful for the better is it going to be to our users. So if you want to use those with your teams, once you have teams and ideas, feel free to use them. And if you want to, I got to do the shameless plug, right? If you do want to get like a free credential, it's free. Yeah, you can put it on your LinkedIn if you have LinkedIn's. You can get a free digital badge if you go to this website. It's ibm.com with /design/thinking/page/badges. We have design thinking badges. They're recognized credentials that are recognized across the industry, and they're free. I'll keep saying free, but that was rapid fire. I appreciate everybody participating and giving me stuff to fill in that empathy map, and I wish you luck on your hackathon, and try to approach these problems with a focus on humans and data-driven decisions. Have a great day.
Yay, Tyler, that was terrific. What a great one. What a fun exercise. Thank you so much for doing that. Does anyone have questions for Tyler just before we end her portion? Yes. Hold on. Let's see. I've got some hands. And I'm going to just unmute you and feel free to ask your question. So we'll start with Patrick, I guess.
I was just clapping, I thought, and somehow I raised my hand, so I didn't have a question. But thank you, Tyler. That was wonderful. It was great to get a new perspective. Yeah.
All right, very good.
Well, okay, I'll talk. One of the ideas I did have for that was along the same lines, is have a member of each family once a week come up with a staycation, let's say in the living room or kitchen or whatever. Could be a Mexican or maybe a French bistro, or they go to maybe Hawaii or whatever. And a member of the family does. Anyway, thank you for giving us that empathy perspective.
I want that idea for my life, please. That would be great. Okay.
All right. Yulia, we have a few minutes before Cynthia's ready. I believe you're ready now, Cynthia, right?
Actually, we can take a break if we want to. I'm just here listening to the goodness.
Yes, and I'm asking everyone to make sure you have your first and last name on your nickname stated, because this way we know you're a real human. You can rename yourself. We got Zoom bombarded before with the people who were having some of this. And we will know you're a real human if you will have your first name, last name, and feel free to add she or he, how to pronounce yourself, how to address to yourself. This also will communicate to us that you're human, not a bot. Okay.
So let's do a quick Mentimeter. Let's see. I'm going to post it in just a moment. The way this works is that you go to menti.com and the instructions will be there. And so this is a great follow-up to Tyler's talk. Hold on, here it is. And just feel free to drop it in there. So feel free.
Wait, this is so cool. I love this.
And you can submit more than one answer.
That's yeah. Yeah, and so, feel free to keep adding to this and everyone will get a chance to see it. Coming up at 3 o'clock, bear with me. Coming at 3 o'clock, we have Dr. Cynthia Marcello talking about open data. Bear with me. Cynthia is a tech solopreneur. I love that word. Software applications developer, data scientist, professor, and business management consultant. Cynthia, you're a busy lady, I have to say. You've 25 years of experience working with small to medium businesses, corporations, government, and educational agencies. Cynthia has developed data-driven applications for the Department of Defense for logistics, as opposed to dropping bombs, right? And numerous custom software applications, front end and back end, for operations and enterprise materials. She provides custom training and technology using her own curriculum, and is the founder and host of Data Driven Divas. What a great name. An online community designed to support women, small business owners, and managers seeking to enhance their data-driven decision-making skills.
And now she's applying all these awesome things to the Hudson Valley, making it available for the Hudson Valley, yes, and beyond, of course. Shall we mention that she is the Open Hub mentor? We're choosing only the best. Here is my minute of announcement. Cynthia will be not only just mentoring through the hackathon and helping you with the challenge, but she also will be starting the Intro to Python, very solid Intro to Python course next week. We will make sure you will get the link to sign up. All hackathoners are entitled for certain discount.
Yeah, there you go.
Shall we read the Mentimeter? So many awesome answers.
It's really good, yeah. And the reason that we made this question is because to put yourself in this place of gratitude allows you a lot more freedom in terms of creation, in terms of looking forward, as opposed to, oh, what didn't I do, or backwards thinking. And so we're really happy that everyone's participating in this. So we'll start up Cynthia's talk in about 5 minutes. Take the time right now to refresh yourself in whatever way you need to do. and we'll get started soon.
Meanwhile, watch Mentimeter answer so many cool things. Kami, look at this. Some names. John Sturman, you're also here.
Thank you.
Atomic Tyler. Okay. How we handle Zoom bombarding. Okay, we did cool. Socks. Yay. The mentors. My education. Taylor's awesome presentation. Hudson Valley with apples, walkways, foliage, hiking, I shall mention. Transparent world. Oh, what's that? My computer. My tribe. Sharing tech thought. Mhm. Parents, of course, family, parents. You can keep playing with that.
Yeah, we'll leave this up. I'm not closing it.
Till free. Okay. Shall we mention Discord? For those of you who do want to network, Discord and Slack. To your exposure, to your service. If you want to chat, it's probably the appropriate place to chat. Discord is highly recommended. That's where you will be collaborating. In case if my awesome team will need to connect with each other really quick, you can call each other on Slack nowadays. At the top right corner, Mark Finnoot. Okay, thank you, Mark, for renaming yourself. Slack is not necessarily to have. It's just part of my team monitoring Slack, part of the team monitoring Discord. So Discord, that's where you will be collaborating through the hackathon. And Slack is mostly for networking. If you do want to hang out after the hackathon and want to be integrated or plugged in into the enlarged technology tribe in the Hudson Valley, so Slack would be recommended. Thank you for my team. We will all be given a chance to connect with teams around ideas later. So the official hackathon kickoff will begin at 4 p.m. The pre-hack workshops like Tyler's workshop and Cynthia's workshop. Tyler is design thinking and Cynthia's is open data. These are essential. These are like your winning opportunity. If you will jump on those and take those, these would be your competitive advantage. Yay. Revealing part of the challenge right now, right here. Tyler, would you be available for mentoring people with their design thinking, or if they're thinking right?
Yes, I'm going to be here tomorrow, 11 to 1. So if you have design thinking questions, or I just might come in and throw some things your way and be like, think about humans. So yeah, I'll be around tomorrow.
That's great.
Great.
All our awesome mentors will be like on duty starting 11 a.m.
All right.
We do want you to build something first and then run by mentors. Before that, it's just no use of mentors' time. Okay.
All right, so let's go. It's Dr. Marcello. It's all you now.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Sturman, for that introduction. That was so kind, and I'm really glad to be part of the entire process at the Tech Fest. But I have to say, I really enjoyed Tyler's presentation on design thinking. Wow, how appropriate for the hackathon, and how appropriate for how we look at open data. So what we're going to be looking at today is, I'm going to make the assumption that you don't know what open data is, or maybe you've heard about it, but you're really not sure what open data is and what you can do with it. And so what I want to do is just introduce the topic of open data, and then I'm going to show you 2 different ways of using open data as a sneak peek into possibilities for the hackathon. All right. Now, one thing I must say is at 4 o'clock when we start the pre-hackathon festivities, there's going to be a secret reveal of what the challenge is for the hackathon. So you are in the right place, being in the open data presentation right now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in a second here. And as we go along, I just want to encourage everyone to think about possibilities. I think that's something that the entire hackathon has emphasized in a really big way. But when we think about possibilities for making positive social changes, open data is really something that lends itself to that process. Okay, so that's why I've titled my talk Opportunities with Open Data. All right, so what is open data? You've probably heard about it, and you're probably wondering what it is. And you might have heard people in like the public space talk about it. According to the opendatahandbook.org website, believe it or not, there is organizations that speak about open data, and that's all they focus on. But the definition is open data is data that can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone, subject only at most to the requirement to attribute and share alike licensure. All right. So you've probably heard of Creative Commons and things of that nature. Open data is designed to edify the public, right? So if you're going to solve a problem in the public domain or the social domain, and you're really passionate about it, the open data gets you started in the right direction, because it gives you access to information about public themes, if you will. Okay, so the types of data that you might be seeking, we all know that, web pages are made of HTML, and you could print those pages out or save them and scrape data from those pages, right? But traditionally, you're going to see data categorized as data sets, either in CSV format, Excel format, JSON, XML, or text. And those lend themselves to being analyzed in a variety of different softwares. And you can imagine an Excel spreadsheet could have lists of a lot of different things, right? When it comes to open data, though, there's also a plethora, I love that word, of map data. And map data gets a little more mysterious. So today's workshop, both of the demonstrations that I do are going to demystify the map data in a way that I hope that you can gravitate towards perhaps applying that in your hackathon problem solving solution. All right, so let's talk a little about map data. Map data is nothing more than data that is based on the stuff that is in a map, right? So a map has a shape to it. That's a shape file. Shape files are basically, if you looked at a map of the United States, it has shapes, right? It has an outer shape, and each individual state has its own shape. So if you just focus on one state's shape, say that 3 times fast, it would have a particular state shape. So if you look at Texas, or if you look at New York, you kind of recognize that outline. So those are what shape files do. The map points that you plot on top of that shape file, right, are going to be basically pinpoints that are areas of interest, right? So it could be different restaurants, it could be different things that you want to point out on the map. So the shape files, just think of it this way, are the shapes that make up the map. It could be the entire state broken down by different counties. Each of those things have different tiles or shape files associated with them. And then the points are what you plot on top of there, right? Each county or each smaller subset of that shapefile will be a polygon. It will be a way of the software to determine that, hey, this is the state of New York, but guess what? This is Hudson County or Hudson Valley. And within Hudson Valley, this is maybe Orange County or Dutchess County or what have you. All right. So that's the overarching definition of map data. And then we of course have APIs or application programming interfaces, where you can basically use a URL or a web link to get at data and bring it into an application that you're planning on using that data with. Okay, so this is a very high level way of looking at the different types of data that are part of open data. So the uses for open data, I'm going to go through each one of these really fast because of course I have the cool demos to do. We talked earlier in the Tech Fest. I heard some of the presenters talk about democratic control or democratizing data. And that's really what open data is about. It's about being transparent to the public, about making sure everyone has equal access to data that is important and relevant to the public sphere. So that's what democratic control of data is really about. Participation. When you have access to something, you're then able to participate. So that's one of the uses of open data. Self-empowerment. If you don't know information and, knowledge is power, that kind of ideology, well, you're able to empower yourself by learning more about the environment around you. So maybe it has to do with resources that you need access to, or your family members need access to, or maybe it's about school, or maybe it's about jobs, right? You're empowering yourself to learn about what is available, what opportunities are available for me. That's another thing that open data can do for you. Here's a good one: improved or new private products and services, right? So tying back to Tyler's talk about design thinking, if you see a product out there and you say, that product is okay, but I can envision making that product even better. And maybe you're not part of a, research and development team. Maybe you're just the average layperson, but you have some really cool ideas. This is where you're able to take that open data and, analyze it, and then start thinking about, how would I redesign this product, which, let's say, individuals struggle with, or maybe find, is substandard, or service, right? Innovation. Really, when you talk about design thinking and taking open data and marrying it to that process of design thinking, you're innovating. You're taking your ideas and you're thinking outside the box, and you're putting a human spin on it. So you're taking the human element and you're looking at the user as a human who is a function of how they feel, how they see, all those five senses, right? And you're putting yourselves in the place of that individual, and you're innovating to find a solution to a problem that exists. Improved efficiency of government services. Now, we all have, I'm sure, run across a government service that we said, it would work a little bit better if we could do this, this, and this, right? And it could be waited too long on the line for something, or maybe, the days of the week when it was available, those things were problems. So you might address efficiency problems and effectiveness issues in the government services sphere. Well, that's where open data, a lot of the open data that's available is tied to the government, and the government is putting those valuable resources out there. And I'm going to show you some examples in a few minutes. So you might think of ways to make things better. Policies is also part of that. So how we measure, performance of, let's say, government, business, and other services, we could actually have an impact on how those policies are quantified and how they are qualitatively addressed. Again, any person, the idea is that any layperson can be part of this process. So that's what's really essential about this. And then the last one is new knowledge from combined data sources and patterns in large data volumes. And that's where myself as a data scientist, this has meaning to me, because I'm able to take that data and I'm able to analyze that data and determine what that data tells me, the story behind the data, what patterns do I see. But it doesn't take just a data scientist. An average person can look at a data set and say, wow, I see some really cool patterns in here. What does it mean? Can we investigate further? And so that's why I want to make sure everyone understands that any individual can look at a data set and find these patterns. You don't have to have, training in this. This is something where the human being is able to see those patterns. So it's really cool. All right, considerations with data and open data. So I'm going to throw some terminology around which you may see, you may hear about, and I want to demystify it. So data cleaning, pre-processing, and feature engineering is often needed when you use open data. The demonstrations I do today, I'm actually going to show you those processes, okay? When you get data and you download it, I'm going to guarantee you that it's very rarely clean. There's going to be blank data in there. There's going to be empty columns. There's going to be weird characters like Unicode, like gobbledygook, if you will. Okay, data that is probably not useful unless you do something with it, right? So that's really what data cleaning is about, looking at the data set and saying, okay, what can we do with this data? Can I even, as a human, read it? Or do I need to hire a special robot to parse the data and do something with it? So that's what, the issues with data is that they come from a vast array of sources, right? So different servers, different systems. And as they go through those different processes, sometimes the data gets corrupted. Sometimes it gets implicated, for I don't know, a particular server decides, oh, the data looks like this. I'm going to convert it because I think it's what, yeah. Servers are like little evil devils in the middle of the process. So what you thought the data was, it's not what it is. And so those data anomalies or issues, maybe it's not complete. It has quality issues. Maybe there are quantities in there that are just not valid. They don't make sense. Right? All of that should be verified. So you don't want to trust all your data as being good enough to use until you look at it and make that assessment. So open data is about closing the data divide, and the TechFest really focuses on digital inclusion. Well, data division is also an issue. So when we don't give everyone access to data that can help solve their own problems or problems in the community, that's an issue. And that's really what the mission of open data is all about, to give access to every individual and to innovate and create solutions to problems. So literally you could go to a library as a club, there's book clubs, there's gaming clubs, what have you. You could meet on a weekly basis and say, we're going to solve some problems. We're going to look at our community data and we're going to see what we can do to solve the problems that we see in our community. And you could do this as a collective. Of course, you'd have to be drinking coffee or some kind of beverage as you're doing this, because that's what we do, right? So many open data sources are public domain. They have no copyright protection. They are just out for the taking, if you will. So the reason that is the case is, the idea is transparency. You're putting the data out there as an entity, whether it's your local court system or whether it's your local government or what have you, and you're giving the data to whoever wants it. But the person that's reviewing the data has to take a risk-based approach to the data. So you want to always verify that it is valid and that it makes sense. Okay, so the way that you do that, this is really simple. Who is providing the data? You ask that question. We're going to evaluate our data set by looking at who's the data provided by. Is it Joe Schmo or is it the state of New York? Good question, right? When was it published? How current is it? Is it relevant to the problem of today? Or is this data set perhaps talking about something that happened 5 years ago, and we know for a fact, based on observation, that things have changed? So when was it published and where? Okay, and what's in it and how is it shared? How many hops did it go through to get to where it is that I'm looking at right now? If the data has gone through a lot of providers and a chain of providers, it may not be accurate. And so you always want to ask yourself, is this known good? Is this data usable based on what we know about known good? All right, so I have some links and resources. This, by the way, is available as a PDF on the Open Data Workshop webpage of the TechFest, excuse me. And the World Data Bank, or the World Bank, I should say, has some really good resources. There's an open data toolkit that you can avail yourselves to. This happens both at a state level, at a nation level, at a world level. So there's global entities all over the world that believe in open data as a movement. There's the handbook from the Open Data Handbook. So if you were wanting to implement an open data policy or procedure in, let's say, your organization, your community, you could look at this handbook as as a guide. And, what are we getting ourselves into when it comes to this open data? And then 50 best open data sources that I love. Again, I'm not going to click on it now because we don't have time to go through all of those. Open data from New York State. I will be showing you that in a second, and also open data in New York City. Okay. So that's it for that part of the presentation. I'm going to now jump over to one of those data websites that I just talked about. So this is New York State. And New York State is one. There's also City of New York, but this is in the link I provided in the website area for the workshop. Okay. Notice they have a variety of different categories of data. And of course, COVID is the first, right? Because everybody's drilling into COVID data. But you can see they're broken down by different categories here. And these are all areas that the public is concerned about, right? Whether it's COVID, education. So I'm going to pick, let's pick one. Oh, I don't know. Let's go into public safety, right? As a category here. So when you go into the public safety area, these are all data sets. Now, you'll notice that they're categorized differently. This says data set right here, okay? So that means that's a data set I could download, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. This is an external link. So what this is a link to another source in the state that provides this statewide imagery, okay? So you wanna pay attention to the categories that you see here. Here's another one. Here's one that's a map. So this gives you a map of New York State. So if I were to click on this, you would actually see a map pop up. We're going to be building some of these in a second, that utilizes data that is open data. So this is actually all the different fire departments that are in New York State. And you can kind of see how they're aggregated here. You can see that there's hotspots here. So you can click and zoom in and see all the different locations, right? The cool thing about this is you can actually download this data. I'm going to jump back to the prior page here. So if I wanted to see just the data sets, I could come over here and click on data sets, and I can jump right in, and I can actually get all data sets that I'm interested in. So let's quickly look at what a data set might look like. So for example, let's say I wanted to look at we'll do hate crimes. Why not? Hate crimes by county and bias type. All right. All of these are not necessarily a pleasant topic, mind you. But if you want to help a social concern, there's nothing better than looking at the data that's going to help you. So every data set is going to have a description about what it is. This starts in 2010 and it keeps on to today. You can see when the data set was last updated, very important. This shows that there's currency. It was provided by the New York Division of Criminal Justice Services. So you have to assume it's coming from a quality entity, that it's accurate. This is what we call metadata. Metadata describes all the different fields that are in the data set. This tells you how many times it was downloaded and viewed, right? You could even contact the data set owner if you have questions about the data. They tell you any limitations, additional resources, and then how many rows and how many columns. And if you've ever worked with an Excel spreadsheet, you know what that means. This gives you all the different fields, right? And you can expand that. These are very important when you're analyzing your data. And then of course the raw data. All right. Now, some of these you can see have a lot of zeros in them. This is a good thing because this is representing crimes that happened, and we want to see less of those hate crimes, right? So if you see a lot of zeros, and let me just quickly emphasize this. When I think of the content, right, that I'm looking at in the context, this is hate crimes. If I see a lot of zeros, I'm happy. If I see a lot of non-zeros, I'm not as happy, right? So zeros are not a bad thing. Zeros mean it was not represented as a positive yes, right? It's a no. This did not happen. All right. So just really quick, if I wanted to export this data, let's say I go to this website, I want to work with this data, it's related to the problem of interest. I'm going to click on export. When I do, I can export this as a CSV file. And then I can use this in my Excel or Open Sheets, what have you, Google Sheets, and I could work with that data. You can also see that there's other formats here, XML, TSV, which is tab separated. So you can even download it as a CSV specifically for Excel. All right, so this is how you would then download it. If you wanted to use an API, for those of you that are familiar, it's outside of the scope, but this is that URL I was telling you about earlier. Okay, so the URL, and let me just close this so you can see it. The URL, it's a JSON file. So I could actually bring that data into, and I've done this in the bootcamp, bring it in as a JSON file. And it just brings, it makes a call to the server, pulls the data in, that very data that you just saw, okay? All right, another example really quick is the New York City open data, which is concentrated in the city itself, right? So if you're new to open data, you can go in here and investigate and see what's going on. There's a whole bunch of things that you can look at, data sets by category, data sets by agency, and you can see all the different links to all the different good stuff, okay? So again, this is just another one. Let me go quick to yet another one. Now this is at the federal level. You'll notice there's 321,982 data sets here. Okay, and there is a plethora of different topics, and this is just a free form search that you can do. All right, so maybe you want, and they kind of suggest some things here. Maybe you're interested in finance, you're interested in student loans. I'm not interested in student loans. Anyone that wants to acquire mine, I'm selling it for free. Credit card complaints, it goes on and on, but this is at the federal level, okay? And there's a lot of individuals that will utilize this for research and other things. Another one, if you're really sciencey, like I love science, hey, NASA, right? And NOAA has data, the weather folks. So they actually have data sets that you could actually access under their data catalog. All right. And notice that they are tied to open government, which is an open data initiative. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is open data is available globally, right? You just have to know where to go to get it. And then once you find it, you have to be able to go through those questions. Is it valid? Is it, known good? Are we getting it from a source that we know and trust? It doesn't need some cleaning, which it may. Those are things to ask, but the data is there. It's just working with it on a regular basis. And I will tell you that there are individuals that are part of different coalitions all over the world that work with open data in their communities to solve community problems. And that's really the power of open data. Okay. All right. That being said, we're going to segue over to the first demonstration, and that happens to be in Jupyter Notebooks. Okay. Now, Jupyter Notebooks is part of, well, it allows you to work with Python. And what I've done is I've built a Jupyter Notebook looking at, not the liquor authority, mind you, but on the website, we talked about cideries and wineries and meaderies. Well, there's a data set on the New York website, the New York Open Data website, that shows all of the different organizations in New York that provide cider and wine and so on and so forth. This is governed by the liquor authority. I promise you I'm only drinking tea. The liquor authority, they provide a current list for all active licensees in New York State. They have to, by law, provide that. Well, that data is open and available to you. Now, for those of you that like to do wine tours, perhaps, and go to the different wineries during the fall, maybe do fall foliage and what have you, and maybe you're into tourism and you provide some great outings for people that you know or what have you, you might utilize this website and their data to get into that data so that you can plan some day trips, right? So this comes from the open data portal that I just showed you. And the goal of this initial project was to look at it for patterns and trends. Now, I will tell you, this is an exploratory look at the data. It is by no means comprehensive. So I'm going to walk you through some of the lingo that is part of Python, Jupyter Notebooks, and taking a data set like the wineries and breweries and cideries and meaderies and distilleries, my goodness, and basically ingest the data. Okay, so that's the purpose of this little project. So the first thing you have to do when you're working with Python is you have to import libraries that you will use for your data analysis. So for any of you who have worked with Python, you'll see Pandas, which is used for data, analytics in general, manipulating your data. NumPy is used for mathematical functions. DateTime is based on things related to date. And anytime you want to use graphs, you typically will rely on a library like matplotlib. And in this case, pyplot, which is tied to, Python. Who knew? And Seaborn is another one. Now, Seaborn allows you to take your maps up to another level. So I tend to like using Seaborn. And when I talk about, I just said maps, I meant visualizations, charts and things, right? If you want to get into the map sphere, then you want to bring in additional libraries. So Folium is a great library that allows you to support map-related functions. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, what is a map-related function? Well, I'm going to show you what the data looks like. And again, when you first see it, you might look at it and say, this is very scary. And I want to demystify the data so that you're not afraid, because it really is. If you took maps if you took geography in high school and as a youngster, when you used to like to look at maps, it's not mysterious. So Folium allows us to see those maps on the screen. And then this little guy right here, that stands for regex. I'm going to show you a little bit about regex. Again, you're not going to be an expert in regex, but I'm going to hopefully orient you to it. All right, so we need to read our data into a data frame. And that's what this line is doing here. We're basically taking our CSV file and we're reading it as a CSV file, using Pandas to do that and assigning it to DF, which is a name. All right, so by clicking run on that cell, I just executed that. And you can see it gave it a number with no errors. And that's when you go, yay, right? For any of the students that took the boot camp, anytime you executed and you didn't get a number and you got a big error, that was boo, right? Well, this is a yay. So now I want to see the first 5 records of my data set, my data frame, okay? I'm going to show that to you. This is what it looks like. So in this data set, we have a serial number, we have the county, we have license type code, license class code. Remember the metadata I just spoke about? Well, knowing what the metadata, what these things are, by reading the metadata, you'll say, oh, the class code, it's this thing, right? So the metadata is very important, kind of like a data dictionary. The certificate number, the premise name, the DBA. Notice here it's NaN, meaning it wasn't assigned. It's basically, non-existent, if you will. The address. Now, when we get into the address and maps, at minimum, Google Maps and things of that nature, any software that renders a map has to have this address, right? If they don't have this, they have to have something else, which I'm about to show you in a second. City, state, zip, license issued date, license expiration date, the type of operation, method of operation, I should say, whether it's a brewery, a distillery, winery, yada, yada. And all the way over here is the geo reference. Now, you'll notice what they did is they have this as a points system. There's a latitude and a longitude. The longitude is first, the latitude is second, okay? In a minute, I'm going to clean the data so that they're in separate fields, because as you can see here, they kind of wrap around. It doesn't make it very easy to read, okay? So while I could leave it alone and not do anything with it, I'm going to show you how to split it out, okay? So you might be asking yourself, well, how big is this data set? What's the shape of it? How many rows and how many columns? Well, by running this cell, it tells me I have 1,524 rows and I have 18 columns. Yay. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to identify what the summary statistics are. Sounds really mysterious. It's really not. I get my column, right? Each column has a name. We've already seen that. I see how many of them are not null. Now, I know that there's 1,524 records or observations. So if it says 1524 here, I know there's basically all of the records are filled in that column. But when you get down to DBA, remember we saw those NaNs? Well, guess what? We know there's a lot of holes in the data. See that there? This 872 means that I'm missing some data in that column. Same thing down here in premise address 2, I'm missing data. So let's talk about that. If I'm missing data in a particular column, you don't automatically delete that column, or what we call drop the column. It is logically correct that many will not have an address 2, right? They just have a street address and they don't have a second one like a PO box. So if you were to just wantonly delete records, that could actually cause data loss, which means that you've lost a lot of the rich data that you may be relying on. Okay, so think about it this way. What's the purpose of my data analysis, right? And before I start deleting records because there's holes in them, I want to make sure that I'm not doing a disservice. And I'm going to show you how to quantify that in a second. I also get something that's super important, and that's the data type. Okay, so a data type basically tells me what I can do with the data. If it's an integer, it's a number, right? So integer, 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 and the rest are objects. Objects are basically categories of data. They're categorical data. So think of it this way. Counties have a name. They're nominal. That's an object data type. Okay. Now, if I need to treat it differently, I may have to convert it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. When you're doing the hackathon, Google it. If you're not sure how to do something, Google it. All right. I can promise you that there are things out there to answer your questions. It's as simple as no different than when you were younger and you went to the library saying, I wonder. Google is your new library. Okay. All right. Now, let's say I wanted to determine how many null values I have in each column, right? I can actually run this formula is NA, and I can actually quantify it this way. I don't know about you, but it's a lot easier to read than having all this in here. I like to quantify it so I can say, oh, this is logical. This I don't really care about because it's doing business as, it's a business nomenclature, not interested, doesn't matter. License issue date, the relevance to my data analysis right now, it's not related, so it's a non-issue. Same thing with days and hours of operation and other. These two things are not going to impact my data, my analysis. Now, since my analysis is driven on maps, if it's blank in the geo-reference, I've got a problem. Now, here's my problem. If there's no data in that column, I could actually use Google Maps and fill it in based on the street address. But given my time constraints of the workshop, I'm going to pretend I don't have the time. And we have to assume in the hackathon, you may be time constrained. So you might have to say, well, it's only 88 records. Does it matter? What would the loss be, right? You have to ask yourself these questions. So I'm going to show you how to do that, all right? So first thing, I'm going to make an executive decision, which you're going to have to do in your teams during the hackathon. I'm going to elect to drop those 88 records. So this is the code for dropping those records. So if it's NA, drop any NA or blank using the subset of georeference, basically identifying this column, any data that is null, right? On the axis 0, meaning at the observation level, right? Not access 1 at the column level. We're not deleting the entire georeference column. We're deleting all of the rows that have no data in georeference, right? And so we're going to run this command, and that's going to quickly delete those records. Woo, gone. Now, what if we deleted the rest of the records? What percentage of data loss would we have? As data scientists, we always ask ourselves that. Now, this is scary looking code, all right, I grant you. But the idea is to get the percentage of records that are blank or missing relative to the whole, okay? And when I run that, I get to see very quickly that there's a 95% loss rate on days in operation, right? So 95%, 85% for other, right? 79% for premise address, 42%. Now, we've already talked about that these columns don't matter when it comes to the data analysis that my goal, my purpose, what I'm doing now. So it's a non-issue, but I wanted to show you how to get a quantification of percentage. If it's a high percentage and you experience too much data loss, you might want to find a different data source, right? So let's say you find a data source, you think it's going to be great, only to find out that it's missing so many records in a column of interest, one that's very important to you, right? So let's say going back to the hate crimes example, let's say your focus is to solve the hate crime problem, but you notice in a particular region that there's no record of any hate crimes, and you know that hate crimes happened. You might want to find another data set. Because if you start eliminating all those records, what happens is now you haven't represented that area, that region. And if your goal is to solve the problem, you're eliminating certain areas from your focal point, right? So just think about it. It's just a matter of informing yourself. All right, now we get into feature engineering. Georeferences, right? The georeference that I pointed to earlier had a point system associated with it, and it was put together. We had the latitude and longitude in one column. So what I'm going to do now is copy that data to a new column I create. That column is going to be called georeference point. It's just a new column. Give me a new column and copy all the data from the georeference column to that column. So I have a clone. All right, that's what this first chunk of code is doing. The next chunk of code, and let me just show you something really quick because it might make sense if I do it this way. All right, let's just give the first 5 records again so you know what I'm doing here. Remember this here? So you can see I cloned it, right? Right. What we want to do is we want to split the latitude and longitude, and we want to put latitude and longitude in separate columns so that we could treat them that way when we bring in our map code. All right. So what I've done is I've cloned them. Now I'm going to get rid of the parenthesis on the end. That's what the -1 is. All right. So I'm going to strip off using -1, the parentheses on the end, and then I'm going to strip the first 7 characters. So that's the word point, the space, and the parentheses on the front. All right, so if you ever heard of trimming leading and trailing spaces, that's exactly what I'm doing. It's using the position and it's cleaning the data based on that. So I've done that, right? So now I've stripped off the parentheses and the word point and the space, but I still have the latitude and longitude in here. You see that? So what I'm going to do now, and this is feature engineering, is I'm going to show you some scary code, but you have the recording, so you'll be able to grab the scary code. I'm actually going to create 2 new columns called latitude and longitude, and I'm actually going to run a little for loop, and I'm going to take the data, split it apart, and put it in its respective columns. Okay. Again, what it's doing is it's taking everything, and I'm going to use a very non-technical way of doing this. You see the space here in between the longitude and the latitude? It's going to say take everything from the space to the left and put it in one column, the longitude column, and everything from the space on the right to the end and put it in the other column. So it's a delimiter. The space is a delimiter, a way of dividing. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. That's what this code is doing. So I'm going to run it, and it's done running, and I'm going to look, and voila, ski. There we go. All right. Now I've got my latitude and longitude split out. And now I can actually say that this is X and Y. I can actually talk to it any way I want. My map code is actually going to do that. All right. And I'm going really fast because I've got another one I've got to show you. So don't mind me. I'm going to now drop the column georeference. I don't need it anymore. And another issue I have with data cleaning is I've got a bunch of columns with spaces. So premise city has a space. I want to put an underscore so that I don't have any spaces in my column names. That I'm going to do by using regex and replacing the space with a dash or underscore, I should say. All right, and that's accomplished that there. You can see now I have underscores. I'm then going to assign the latitude and longitude to locations and a list of locations that the map code will be able to use. All right, you can see here it's actually an array of locations, the longitude and the latitude, comma separated so that the map software can look at it. And sure enough, this is how the map software is going to, or map code, I should say, is going to perceive it. This is giving the map code where to start on the map. Do I want to start in Europe? No. I want to start in New York. Where in New York? Well, this is meteries. This is the whole state of New York. So I'm going to assign to a variable M the location that I want to start. When I zoom in on the map, that's where I want to be. Okay. Now I'm going to take those values and assign it to the locations map. Very simple. Then I'm going to add a heat map. Now a heat map is a concentration. It's colored map that based on the shading, it tells you the concentration of wineries, cideries, and so on and so forth. So here we have it. All right. You can see Wellsville has quite a bit. And when you drag this around, you can kind of see. Now, if I zoom out, you can see now everything pops on the map. Now I get some shading. Ooh, check this action out. So now I can see the concentration in my map of where these, I'm zooming out, by the way. Now you're starting to see the state of New York, right? Okay. So you can kind of see that New York has quite a few cideries, meaderies, and all that fun stuff. And you can see that the shading tells us. So the bright red is a high concentration. Now you can kind of see New York City, right? High concentration of wineries and such. There's more of a concentration over here. Kind of cool, right? Again, for the sake of time, I'm whizzing through this. I want to show you the R version of this. I'm going to add a tile layer. And by adding a tile layer and zooming out a little bit more, you can kind of see, come on, whoop, just a little bit more data here. Not a lot, but some, okay? You can see the concentration of where those places are, all right? And then I'm going to add some layers. Now, the reason I'm doing this, you'll notice over here, there's a new little legend that you can interact with your map. This is one way of looking at it, but if I click on here, I can actually change the style of map. All right, so now I'm zooming out again. I look at the map a little bit differently, right? The terrain is a little bit different. Maybe I want it to be, that's kind of cool, right? That shows really how New York pops. Color-wise, you're able to see it a lot better. Here's one that's OpenStreetMap that gives you, a traditional map style. Here's another one that gives you just the terrain. So different aspects of maps based on what you're trying to convey. All right. And that's really, but this layer, this legend layer, by adding those, you allow the user to interact with the map at a better level. All right, really quickly, because I want to get to the R1. All right, so here are some key locations. We can keep only the columns we care about. I'm just going to quickly run these because time is of the essence. And I'm going to display a map with markers on it. So now, let me zoom out. And now I've got some cool markers. Check this out. So now, and I don't have a lot of time, but if I mouse over these markers, you can see the name of the brewery. I should probably zoom out because, there's a lot of them. So that's why it's chugging in the internet connection here, right? But let's say I want to see, oh, this one's this particular brewery, right? This one is a different one. I'm clicking on each one. Fort Drum has Nikki and Troy. Let's see, we've got another one over here, Paradox. So you can kind of, see where things are located, and you can choose what shows up on the pop-up. All right, pretty cool. All right, so that's in Python. I'm going to quickly show you an equivalent in R, but this is based on Dutchess County. Now, really cool, and I'm hoping that everyone can see my screen. All right, I haven't gotten any alerts, so I'm going to assume you can. This is R.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is R. So I'm going to quickly go through this. Keep in mind, hackathoners, you have this same R starter code in your toolkit, but I'm not going to show you the toolkit till we actually start the hackathon. There's other goodies in there, I promise you. All right, so I'm going to again load some libraries, okay, very quick. And you'll notice that when I load my libraries, it basically gives me some indication that all is good. This is going to be Dutchess County data that I got from the Dutchess County website. All right. I actually have a shape file from Dutchess County that was provided by the Dutchess County government that gives me the municipalities or the boundaries or polygons for Dutchess County. So I'm going to load that, and that just gives me a nice data frame, and you're going to see it. It takes a little bit to load because there's a lot of geographical in there. There's 31 observations and 7 variables. So by loading that shape file that I got from the government, I get all my latitude and longitude, all my geometry, the actual shape area, and the name that we care about, Red Hook, Milan, yada, yada. It's map stuff that looks scary, and that's why I'm trying to demystify that for you. All right. I also have 2 CSV files that I downloaded from the government website, one for fire EMS and the other for police. So you can see these are just CSV files that I've read in. Okay, I'm going to be using these, all three of these in my map. So I'm going to load my geospatial data for my EMS. You can see down here that everything happened the way I wanted it. It loaded the EMS data. And now I'm also going to load the geospatial data for Dutchess County. All right, police stations. I'm then going to apply a function that allows all of the words to be title case. When you have a pop-up that comes up, if you have lowercase, uppercase, it makes it hard to read. So this function just makes it all title case. I'm then going to decide what I want to be the pop-up when I mouse over. So it'd be nice to see the location of the municipalities. So, think of the different towns that I just referred to. That's actually going to give me my towns. I also would like to see the name and address of the fire companies and the address and department name of the police station. So these are all the things that will pop up when I mouse over on the map. And you notice that each of these data files are providing the information for it. This is actually just creating HTML, raw HTML, but pointing to those columns in the data set. All right. I'm then going to make a map using Leaflet. Now, Leaflet is a very cool software that just allows us to build a map, very much like you saw. I'm going to use the different locations to create a color palette. And that's what this is doing here. When I build the base map, you're going to see the base map, which is the boundary of Dutchess County, and the polygons for each city, which is the municipality. So think of a map, it's broken up into chunks, right? And I might want to focus on one particular city or what have you. So that's what this is doing. It's adding tiles for a group called Dutchess County, polygons for each of the municipalities, and then markers for the fire and the police. Okay, scary looking code, but you can repurpose this code. I've given it to you. So I'm going to generate that. And one final thing, I'm going to actually build layers for the legend and generate our map. Woohoo! There we have it. Now, I got all these files from Dutchess County, and Dutchess County, as you know, was a sponsor for the hackathon. So I figured I'd highlight them. This is an outline. You can see the outline. This is the base map. So if you see the dark black, right? Yes, the links are available now, Patrick. That's a great question. Those links are available on the Open Data website. The links to the toolkit, the hackathoners will have to get when we reveal it. And that will be actually right about 4:20. So we have source code, all right? Source code. Okay, now this is an outline of Dutchess County, and you'll notice that Dutchess County is all in black, okay? Each one of these, when I click on it, that's Rhinebeck. Here we have Milan. I'm clicking on each one, Stanford, Northeast, Armenia, right? And let me zoom in so you can see it better, Washington. These are all part of Dutchess County, right? Let me zoom out. Oh, I went too fast. Okay. This is actually where the New York State Police in Dover is, and this is their address. Now I could put additional data on that pop-up, all right? I just chose 2 fields, right? Here's another one. Here we have the sheriff's in Beekman substation, right? Here we have New York State Police in the Thruway, right? Let's use a little yellow dot. Oh, the yellow dots, the little dots are the EMS providers. So there's Alamo Ambulance. Here's another one, location Clinton, and then we have West Clinton Fire Department. So if you'll notice on the upper right-hand corner here, I have a legend. I can actually turn off the EMS and just focus on the police, right? So here we have the different police departments. Okay, and you can see where they're located. Now keep in mind, maps are not limited. You could have so much information on them. What's kind of cool is if you wanted to provide a map to the public to find schools or after school programs, or find all the different libraries in your region, or find where all the summer camps are going to be, or perhaps find, anything that people are looking for. The beauty of using the libraries that we used is when you bring this up on a cell phone, it actually looks normal. So you can actually, it's responsive for a cell phone device or even an assistive device. So if someone is using a tablet or what have you, an iPad, they're able to see this map and interact with it very well, very easily. So that's the beauty of this technology. If they tried to load the proprietary softwares that are out there, and I'm not going to mention them, but if they tried to do that, they wouldn't be able to work with it per se. It may be very difficult. This is lightweight, easy to work with. And of course, if I wanted to turn off the police, I could do that and turn on just the fire stations, and I could determine what is happening where. Okay. Now, I'll give you a little story before we take questions. I actually worked for a little while for the Department of Health in Ulster County, and we focused on the opioid crisis, and we were able to determine where resources were needed in the county based on pinpointing where overdoses were happening in the county. And that's something that was very important to me. You might be thinking of something in your community that's very important to you, and you may want to provide information to individuals to help them. And so you want to be thinking about what is needed in the community and what can I do using open data to solve these problems. Keep in mind, all the software I use today is you don't pay for the software. All of the data I've used is free, it's open data, and you literally could address a problem in your community using these open data resources. So I hope this has been helpful. I am going to stop sharing my screen and take some questions.
Hey,
This
Cynthia.
was wonderful.
We had a question from someone. Patrick asked how can we recognize or properly handle bias of the data? Are there some questions we need to ask or other details we need to use to check our data?
Absolutely. So the first thing is, where's the data coming from? That's the big thing. If it's coming from an entity that you know and trust, that is a good start. Now, I will qualify that statement by saying that we all know that the individuals that create data can be prone to bias. And that's a problem we talk about in the data science community. Anyone could make changes to the data and we might not know about it. And so what you want to do is look at the patterns in the data and determine, are these patterns representative of other known good data sources? Are they credible? Can I look and corroborate that data with another known good data source and say, these are reasonable given the other data that I have at my disposal? But that is a very important conversation that we have in the data science community, and definitely something that we could talk about further, but that would be my start. Where is it coming from? And do I trust that source?
Right, awesome. Other questions? Let's see. It would be great to have a recording, and Yulia already indicated that we are going to make that available. And Patrick also asked, are these links available now, and where will they be posted? I think that's a part of your
that's my reveal. Yes.
Reveal. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And Connor asked, what programming language is being used to program in the tool?
Okay, so the first one I showed was Python. The second one was R. And if you're going to get into data science or data analytics, you definitely want to know both of those. All right, R and Python are really cool tools. We offer boot camps in that, but each one has its own we'll say quirks and or specialties. R is more statistical in nature. All right. So there is more of a scientific edge to R, but you can create maps in both. And that's why I showed both. Really, both tools can be used to work with open data.
All right, awesome. Anybody have any other questions? Let's see. Oh, Connor wanted to know, is R similar to C++?
To C sharp.
Yes,
yes, that's okay. That's all right. Yes, R is similar to C sharp. It is, let's put it this way. It is more like C sharp than C++. And if you know all of the data structures and you know all of the control structures, right? How to select, how to do an if statement, right? How to do a loop. If you know those fundamentals, you can manipulate it in R with no problem. So syntax is very easy to pick up if that's what you're asking.
Awesome. And one more question. If there are multiple maps or shapes, how does the scaling normalize these to common mapping scale? For the example, GPS versus Dutchess County.
Excellent. So that's a great question. So what I showed you was actually using a WGS 64. And when we go into the reveal, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the World Geodetic Scale. All right. And I actually provide a hyperlink in there. So there are different scales, and you want to make sure that when you read the data in that you convert it accordingly. And in my quick go through in the code and in the Duchess starter code that you have in your toolkit, I'm winking, you'll see some comments where I describe what that is, and I provide a link to the Wikipedia that talks about scale. So if you're using Esri or you're using OpenGIS or what have you, you want to make sure that you're using a proper scale. So for example, I got the data from Ulster County or Dutchess County in one scale. I had to convert Dutchess County to the scale that my R code was referring to. All right. So, and I'm going to give you a recommendation that you stick with the scale I gave you in the starter code. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Hint, hint.
Okay. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
All right, that's awesome. Any other questions before we kind of quiet down this session and get ready? A lot of hints and winks for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cynthia, you are amazing. I can't wait till the reveal at 4:20 today, and we'll get ready for that. In the meantime, it is a little bit early. We are waiting for other people to join us, and there are 20 participants now, and so. Yulia, I was going
we
to
might
just
have more people to join, and they are coming right here. So we will be carefully admitting them after our experience. Saying that, let's have 5 minutes of kind of quiet time just to have a break between like pre-hack, all this learning to digest. And then everybody is saying, thank you, Cynthia. You are the best.
All right, so I'm going to add, put the presentation for the hackathon up and add some music, and we'll take a little break. And as we start to see people come in, hopefully it's not too delayed. Our plan is to begin at 4 o'clock if we can. And so as soon as that's possible, we will make it happen.
3 minutes break just to separate. Here's the big new launch of the real hackathons coming.
Awesome.
We do want to see you back in 3 minutes. Take
Fabulous.
your sanitation break.
All right.
Whatever.
See you all soon.
I'm taking you over as soon as Andrea will be ready. She will take over. We are starting. Yeah. We're starting at 4 p.m. promptly. We would add link after we start on that page. Exactly on
Yes,
that page, on the
that's right.
hackathon page.
That's right. I will be adding the link.
Was I sharing the hackathon page or something else?
Yes, you were
Okay.
sharing the hackathon page. I'm ready to save it. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, Zoom is getting complicated.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope I'm still sharing the right one. Okay,
Or
one more minute.
if
One more
you're-
minute.
Okay. And when you refresh, you should be good to go.
Ooh. What will appeal here? What will happen? I just refreshed.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
oh, no, don't go there yet. Wait a second.
No,
Wait for
no.
4:20. Okay.
Yes.
No. Don't go there yet. Okay. One more minute before you go. Let's make it fun. Cindy, it was fantastic. And I have to say that people were picking on what you said, or picking or just pointing on what you said. And they said, like, if you don't have an idea for your startup or entrepreneurial journey, hey, start exploring open data. You will have a plenty of ideas.
That's right.
And you
That's
will
right.
see what you can do about your
Right. And the power comes in the
neighborhood.
collaboration, really.
Yeah.
When you think, you're just by
Magic
yourself.
happens. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So true.
So, and once an idea comes in, then another idea comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's the catalyst for ideation, really.
Yes, having the right data source, open data source.
Yes.
I shall say this is really important. Okay.
One other thing really quick is pushing your local community to produce that data, also encouraging them to put it out there.
That's so true. That's
Advocation.
So true.
Yes.
That's what Open Hub
Advocacy.
is doing.
Yes.
Talking
Yes.
with all these government officials saying, like, look at this power of open data. This is really inspiring.
Yes.
You do want to find entrepreneurs in your area? This is the best way to attract them.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Andrea, I'm ready whenever you are.
All
2 more
right, Yulia.
minutes. You good?
We have 21 participants here to now. I don't know
Okay.
if this is if you want to wait a little bit longer until like 4:05 and see who we bring in,
Okay.
because I mean, I
Let's
don't know how many.
wait until 4:05.
Okay.
I think this is appropriate to do.
All right, awesome.
So the experience we all experienced today, actually it speaks about the certain glory. We changed our settings. We're not allowing strangers anymore.
We're also not letting people unmute themselves. So if you'd like to say something, just raise your hand.
All right.
I see people coming. And I see our sponsor.
If you've just joined us, it's important that you write the name you're showing, putting your first and last name, so that you're so right now it's simply to say welcome.
We have an echo.
Yes, so someone may be have their audio setting to be original sound, and in Zoom, what that does is it turns off the suppression of the Zoom audio. So It's just some logic that you just need to make sure that you click turn off original sound.
Perfect. I can say there is no echo anymore.
Yep.
Sarah, can you rename yourself, please? You are muted. Sarah Lee just entered, and we don't know if it's Sarah Lee, but I recognize Sarah. Please rename yourself. 3 dots on top next to your nickname. John, can you unmute Sarah, please?
Sure, I can, yeah. So go ahead, Sarah, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
So what's your last name, Sarah? I can put it in for you.
Okay, it's Lee, L-E-E.
There you go.
Okay.
Didn't mean to single you out, but you know, well, and welcome. Andrew, were you going to play some music?
I can, yes. I just can't get it to go the way I want it to go, so I'm working on it.
I can play music.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Go ahead.
I don't think we need much music, actually. We're almost there. Sarah is here. And I think we're good to start.
Okay.
All right, so we've got 23 people on the call. Yulia, you ready to start the hackathon then?
Absolutely.
All right.
Here is what I have to admit. We are limiting people to participate in Zoom, and we're live streaming, we're recording, we're doing these things because Discord is also have interactive presence. So that's what we decided to do after we got too popular. We jumped too high and we got Zoom bombarded. So we changed our settings to be a little bit less interactive on Zoom, but more interactive on Discord.
All right,
Okay.
awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yes,
So
people are still coming, but it's
people are
okay.
still
They will be
coming.
coming. We will be admitting them according to their registration. We don't want strangers anymore.
Okay, no, preferably not, for sure. All right, I'm gonna share my screen and then kick us off. Let's see. Here we go. Let me present. And you should all see the kickoff and welcome for HVTechFest' 2021. I'm super excited to be here. It's wonderful. I am actually at Command Central with Yulia and our Discord manager, Andrew. So we are, and I think missing from Command Central is John, who's running Zoom for us, and Cynthia, who's going to manage our big reveal. So super, super excited about that. But before we jump in and start to introduce ourselves and take care of some basic housekeeping, I want to turn it over to Think Duchess and give you some time to share a message and anything else you'd like to kind of let us know before we begin. Let's see, is Sarah from Think Duchess?
Yes, she's here. She can unmute herself. And we have to say thank you, sponsors. John, can you help Sarah? Maybe she cannot do it herself. She was muting herself and unlocked. Just a word, her co-host. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dutchess County. Thank you, Think Duchess.
Well, thank you, Yuli. Now, yes, it's the adventures of using a digital platform, right? When you mute and unmute. So thank you for having me. I am excited to be here and have Think Duchess be a sponsor of such an exciting event. We are the economic development organization for Dutchess County. We are responsible for business attraction, business retention, expansion, marketing the county as a good place to live, work, and play, and as well as entrepreneur services. And that is why we're here. So with that, I just want to say, congratulations for all you guys to be participating in such a great conference and now the hackathon. I think your challenge is a very exciting and timely one. The pandemic has certainly changed the way we do business and how people interact. And I think this is just an acceleration of what was going to happen anyway, because as the world becomes more digital and the economy becomes more digital, this is going to be commonplace. And one of the things that we are seeing in our economy is, while this can be a great thing, it ends up concentrating wealth and opportunity in very few places, and the ability to and concentrate it in particular places. So your challenge, I think, is apropos, is how do you bring this digital world to be more inclusive, to be more open, and to be equitable. So with that, I wish you guys all the luck. I will see you tomorrow and see the results. And thank you again.
And we will have some monetary and in-kind prizes because of our awesome sponsors. They cannot wait to see what you will be up to. And you will have some good incentives for making difference right here in the Hudson Valley and for the specific neighborhood, region. Make a change right here. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah, for being here. We really appreciate the sponsorship, and we're looking forward to seeing what our participants are going to be building out. Very exciting. All right, so first thing I want to start with, I do see some folks that have participated in hackathons previously. There are some reaction buttons in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So if you have been here before and participated in a hackathon previously, can you please use the reaction buttons to raise your hand? That would be great to see who is here. Let's see. Abhishri, Patrick, Dominic, Arna. All right, we have quite a few repeats, which is wonderful. It's great to see you all again. Thank you so much for being a part of our event this weekend as well. So before we jump into expectations and logistics, I'm going to ask you all to use the chat, please, and to tell us who is here. So tell us use the chat to tell us your name, the city, state, and country that you're joining us from, your role, if you're here as a developer, a designer, a researcher, business strategist, or a community advocate, put that in too. So I'll leave those instructions up, and if you can just start typing in the chat and let us know where you're from, who you are, and how you want to participate, that would be great. Julia, people can type, there we go. Matthew's here from Kingston, New York. Matthew's a student. Welcome, Matthew. Connor's here too. Connor's from Dutchess County and he's a developer. Great. Patrick's here. Patrick's from Poughkeepsie. He's a developer. Dominic is a developer. All right, we got lots of developers here. Mark's a student. Let's see. Kyle's here from Syracuse. Wonderful. Abhishri's here from New Delhi. And she joined us last year. A student pursuing engineering. Welcome back. Joe Cupanos from Cornwall. Jesus is here from Middletown. He's a student. Eric Zhang's Newburgh, and he's a student. Arna's Hudson Valley developer. Adriana Newburgh is a student. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, it's great to see everybody here joining the event. If you haven't already added it, just keep doing that. And we have somebody else from Queens, New York. Omisha, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your names too. Please forgive me. So the next thing we have to keep things rolling along, we do have a poll, and we'd like to know why you are here this weekend. So John, I think, has our polls ready to go. John, do you have that there that you can launch the poll?
Yep, doing it now. Here we go.
All right, awesome. So here's your Zoom house poll. Why are you here? So because I have no life and this is what I do. I want to meet other creators. I have a great idea to help my community and I'm looking to share it out. I lost my invitation to a Halloween party and ended up here. So let me know what your situation is and why you're joining us this weekend.
Too bad co-hosts cannot vote. We cannot. Too bad. Oh, I want to vote too. I want to meet with other creators. I have a great idea to help my community.
And our second poll is right there too. If you finish the first one, you can go on. Hand on heart, are you wearing pajamas right now?
Ha ha ha.
We got mixed responses. So let's take a look at some of these. I am going to, oh, we still have responses coming in. So that's okay. A couple more. Yeah.
We want 1 more minute, 60 seconds. But we are not limiting you to this pool. It's us who seeing these responses. You don't see it yet, but it will be revealed.
We have some other people putting down their colleges. Adriana's from SUNY Middletown. We have some folks here from, I saw New Paltz.
I see 50-50 are wearing pajamas and not.
All right, looks like we have everybody responding. So let's see, let's end
Finishing
that.
the poll.
Yeah, there we go. We're going to share these results so you can see.
If you click on polls, you will see the results. In your more button, you will see the results.
So it looks like 50 or about 5 out of 13 of us, or 38%, want to meet other creators. Awesome. And in terms of pajamas and not pajamas, we're about 50-50. Oh, maybe a little bit more with the pajamas, I would say, but that's where we are. Awesome. All right. So thank you so much for participating in the polls. I want to talk a little bit about expectations and logistics in terms of what a hackathon is, why we're all here, and what we want to do. A hackathon is really an opportunity for you to be involved with your community or with a community of like-minded people that want to do problem solving and create solutions to issues that are in the community, and find ways, and not just necessarily your local community. In this case, Open Hub, we are focused on the local community. We're focused on Dutchess County specifically. And Cynthia, when she does the reveal in a couple minutes, she's got lots of information she's going to share with you about what's happening and what our focus is this year. But really, it's an opportunity for you to come meet people that are like you, that care about the community, and that want to develop solutions. You want to try different things. You want to look at the problems through different lenses, and you want to be here and you want to participate with others to look at these problems and benefit from the different perspectives that everybody brings and shares to these different problems. You all have experienced different problems. Taylor did a great session earlier about troubleshooting problems and using design thinking to solve problems, and really how things affect you. So at the grassroots level, we all know what our struggles are. We all know what our family struggles are. And we're here to name those problems and come up with solutions for them. And that's really what a hackathon is. It's an opportunity to explore problem solving with people that bring different perspectives. And every year I'm so impressed by the people who dedicate their time to this process. A couple of expectations as a part of the event. Expectation: this is an open, creative, supportive, and accepting community. we welcome all perspectives. So please, when you're working together, make sure that everybody has a voice as you're solving these problems. Super important. We can't do this work alone. We need everyone's perspective and everyone's voice. Couple of logistics. We are using Zoom to be live as we facilitate workshops. Also, as we host this main stage, as I'm going to call it, where we have our live presentations, where we have our pitches, where we form teams and all of that. So that will all happen here on Zoom. Links will be shared so that you can sign up to pitch. You'll have some time. It's all good. But this is where all of that live interaction will happen. You also can join Discord, because in Discord is where we have team rooms set up, and that's where a lot of your work will happen once we go dark on Zoom. So you'll want to make sure that you're on Discord, and we'll make sure that all those links are in the chat so you have easy access to them in a little bit. So Discord, there's space, there's a channel for questions, there's a channel for organizers, and there are several channels set up where you can grab one for your different teams, and we'll name them for your team once you're in those rooms, and we'll lock them so nobody can go snooping around at what you're doing, right? So we want to make sure that you have that. And then the other channel, the other option you have for communicating with us is also on Slack. So you'll want to join us on Slack as well, because you can reach out to organizers there if you have any questions there too. So I would say right here where you are now, Zoom, Discord, and Slack. So we're starting just a quick overview of the logistics of the event. I'm going to be turning it over to Cynthia very shortly so she can introduce our challenge, the big reveal. And she has done some amazing work putting together a toolkit for all of you with all kinds of, I'm going to call them bells and whistles, because I don't want to give away her surprise. After that, we'll give you some think time, because there's a lot going on here. Once she presents what's happening, you're going to want a few minutes to think about what your pitch is, right? So give you some think time, get your thoughts together. You will have 60 seconds to pitch, and I am going to limit you to 60 seconds. So be ready for that. So you'll want to organize your thoughts, be ready to go and pitch in 60 seconds when it's your turn. After that, I am going to be using a platform called Padlet, where you can go and you can sort of sign up for which team you'd like to participate on. Based on that sign up, we will either run with what we've got, or we'll ask you to consolidate teams. We don't want teams of one. That's not the purpose of the event. We do want that collaboration. That is key. That is key. That's why we're all here. So we'll put projects together sometimes if that works, or we will find a home for you, promise. After we form teams, we will have somebody here, Eileen Marcus, and she's going to be running a session for teams to start to plan together and come together, looking at that problem and doing some rapid ideation around your different ideas. This way, that tends to break you out of your box and get you thinking in different ways. And we don't want to get stuck in one way of looking at solving a problem. We want to take that initial pitch and make it even bigger. So we'll do some rapid ideation around those ideas. Eileen's wonderful. She's going to bring us through that process. 6:45, you'll be grabbing a room in a team room in Discord, and we'll get you set up there. That's where you'll start your game plan and start hacking. We've got voice channels set up, video channels set up in Discord for you. And at 8 o'clock, we'll make a full transition to Discord. And that's where you'll have to reach out to us as you spend your evening hacking, I'm suspecting. So with that, you can, and if you have any questions now about the logistics of the event, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I will respond to you there. But in the meantime, I want to turn it over to Cynthia, because that's where all the fun really is. So Cynthia, it's all yours.
All right. I am going to start sharing my screen, if that's okay. I'm going to take over and share. Not that, not that. Oh, see, I'm teasing everyone. Let me bring up the proper screen. That's the screen. Let me move this out of the way. All right, everyone should be able to see my screen. So the TechFest Hackathon Challenge of 2021. We are talking about using open data for social good. And so your goal is to create an application that addresses problems using the resources provided in the toolkit, which I'm going to show you in a second, to address the research questions and give insight to a social problem in the selected community. So as we had mentioned earlier, we have several sponsors that have been so kind to support us in the Tech Fest this year. Dutchess County, we just mentioned, was a wonderful sponsor, and we also have the Workforce Development Institute. There are several different challenges that are out there. You all know that there are societal problems that you have seen in your communities, so we want you to be thinking outside of the box and making sure that your ideas are connected together in your team environments as you look to solve those problems. And of course, when you go to present your thoughts about what you want your project to be about, but also when you present the final solution. Everything that you do in the next day and a half, if you will be around using open data for social good. So you're going to be looking at things that basically solve a problem in your community, provides benefits for the largest number of people in the largest possible way. That is what social good is. And I'm sure you can think of a lot of problem areas. What I've listed here are some, but it's not an exhaustive list, right? Health and wellness, transportation, public safety, education, clean water. The list goes on and on. Social justice, disaster relief, the environment, food insecurity, social services. These are all areas that you probably are familiar with, or maybe not. Maybe someone in your team knows about them. But we all know that when we provide a group of very powerful, motivated individuals in one area, such as Discord or Zoom or Slack, and we look to solve the world's problems on a very smaller scale, meaning in our communities, we can affect positive change. So what evidence do we have to support our focus, right? So once we decide what the problem area is, what evidence do we have to support our focus? Well, I've provided you some links to some of those. Guess what? I'm just going to show you one. Right? Here's an area in Dutchess County where they talk about some of the things that are really important to Dutchess County, right? Now, you're going to be expected to be great researchers as you solve your problem in your team. So all these other links, they're just some of the links that you could go to. There's a lot of them out there. So what types of questions should you be thinking about? Well, the first one, what type of application using open data can be designed to address a community problem to provide social good? That's a huge question, but with a group of individuals like-minded, we can address those problems. What features of an open data-driven application can affect change in community behavior or its perspective to a social problem? So you might think of, well, how can I provide access to open data that solves an issue in my community? Well, you have to know where the data sources are and what aspects of the community need help, right? Where are the problems? So that's that intersection. So you want to be thinking about it. That's part of the ideation process. What types of positive effects and social changes can be accomplished with an application using open data? So what changes do we expect to see? How are we helping people? How are we empowering people? How are we making a difference? Those are things that your teams are going to be talking about. And also, what relationships between variables are present in the data sources? So for example, you might say, you know, I've been wondering, is there a relationship between homelessness and veteran status? Or is there a relationship between after-school programs and food insecurity? Is there a relationship between these things that we see in our world? So you want to be thinking about that, you know, when you're looking at addressing your problem. So this is all part of the big reveal. Now, what is the big picture in all of this? This is something that you ask yourself on a daily basis. You know, why are we here? Why are we doing these hackathons? Why are we collaborating as a team? Because we all want to see the world in a better place. We want to make change. And we know that small changes in our communities will mean big changes in the future, right? So it starts small and it develops into something bigger. So in developing an open data application and making that small change, what does it mean for the entire community? Why does it make a difference? And why do we care? And what do we want to do, right? So then the last question you're going to have is, well, what resources do we have to do this? There's so many possible resources. What I'm about to show you is the toolkit that I've put together for you. But the idea is that each team is going to be looking at all of the data sets that they can find, the resources that they have, the resources that you can discover outside of the toolkit, because you're going to be hungry, looking for information, performing online research, brainstorming, getting in, in the thick of it. And you're going to be a problem solver and be resourceful and be brave. Remember, there's no perfect in this. It's about people with good intentions designing something to make a difference. And that's what this is all about. So there is no perfect. There is energy and thought and just the desire to make changes. So let's go into the toolkit. Oh, so many links. What do we do? So I designed this around all of the different tools that you might consider. So the choice is up to you. The resources you have are, if you have resources, use them. The use of a GIS map is optional. It's not required, but there's starter code that I've given you, and I'm going to show you where that is.
Sounds intimidating. Just to make a dialogue, I want to bring the quote Cynthia just used. And it's really important. If you're going to solve a problem in the public or social domain and you're passionate about it, open data will get you started with entrepreneurial journey. Don't be scared. One by one, you will be able to see what's that and how to use it. Cynthia is here to help. So do we.
That's right. That's right. So what I will be doing is I will be back around 6 o'clock in the thick of it with you as you start focusing on the problem solving. I'll be building additional resources on this toolkit as I see them. So I'll be posting additional resources here. But what I want you to do is think of what Yulia said. We have open data sets over here that I've provided, some of them. There's more data sets over here by social cause. So what I did is I've aggregated them so that, if you decide you want to focus on a particular specific cause in New York, these links go to data.newyork.gov, but they are actually geared towards a specific theme that you might have interested in. I've also provided GIS related data sets rather. Each county that's represented here are just some of the counties. Obviously, there's a lot more. Dutchess County has theirs, Ulster, Orange, Westchester. These are data sources that you could utilize and that you may want to utilize, not required, but you could. Over here, we have some links to open data and a variety of different links that go to different data sets. Some are agricultural, some are farmers markets related, right? Just to get you in the thoughts. All this upper section here is all about data, okay? Open data. And then when we get down here on this little section, we have programming and visualization tools. So you could do Python in Google Colab if you have a Google email address, right? You can download Anaconda if you want to use that and work with Python and R together. If you don't know how to do that, you don't have to, right? You want to download Python and work with Jupyter Notebook, you can do that. You can use RStudio like I demonstrated, and you can also use Tableau Public. Now, you might not be familiar with some of these tools, but using the source code that I start you with and maybe some of the knowledge that's on your team, you may be able to come up to a solution, right? So that's why I provided these sources to you. We also have version control and project management tools here. Okay, we did talk about, Trello or Discord rather, but there's also Trello if you're familiar. There's Kumo Space where you can share with your team and work together on the problem. All right, there's also the Techstars Entrepreneurs Kit. This is actually a great toolkit that you want to bookmark and have at your disposal, because as you go off into your careers and decide what pathways you're going to go, the Techstars Entrepreneurs Toolkit gives you so much in a way of ideation and working your thought and your ideas through the complete life cycle. Okay.
Think about it this way. All those resources are not here for you to consume immediately right here, all at once. No, they are here to stay.
Right, right. So when you get an idea, you want to focus on the idea first and then say, okay, and if I may, let me jump back to my prior page here, okay? This is what I want the teams to do, right? I want you to take yourselves through this question process. What are some problem areas? What evidence do we have to support? What questions should we think about? What resources do we have? So the resource part is at the tail end, right? Your team wants to be going through these question processes. And when you're working with ideation, you want to think about these questions before you decide what tools you're going to use, right? You want to get excited about the problem. You want to go and take a methodical approach to this. All right.
Here's Tyler's workshop, design thinking. Think about
Yes.
persona, think about challenges, think about yourself as a persona. What challenges do you experience, or maybe your friends?
Exactly. Right. And remember, some of you might be on a team and you might feel really strong in a certain skill set. And, you know, you're really comfortable with that. And maybe someone else on your team has another skill set and say, well, we can share skill sets. And now we can be synergistic and collaborate and work together in a complementary way. Right? So it's not about knowing everything about everything. It's about working together with the shared skill sets that you have as a team. That's super important. And you develop meaningful relationships and friendships when you work that way. So that's what this is about. There's also some really cool starter code that I've provided. So you can actually download this starter code and open it up in R or Python, depending on what it is. This is R, right? And by the way, this Dutchess County map starter code is the same code I demonstrated, hint, hint, wink, wink, in the workshop. So it will look familiar to you, okay? And keep in mind that we have people in Discord that have worked in R, have worked in Python, and they can help you if you get stuck. So that's the other thing, is you have a lifeline in Discord and in Slack, okay? So there's additional resources here. If you decide that you want to go with Tableau and data visualization, right? You could actually go into Tableau. So there's examples that I've provided here. So for example, I'll just quickly show you. Tableau gives you, if you scroll down here, social impact. Oh my gosh, right? So you can see samples that other people have created. Okay, and they actually have different dashboards that they've built. Now, obviously, I didn't show you how to build anything in Tableau. Time didn't permit. We have so many cool things that we're doing today, but you want to look at the possibilities and then as a team decide, what direction do we want to go? Okay, so there's a lot of really cool resources here. Starter code. There's if you want to really go heavily into the geo systems space, the geo infographic, there's textbooks I've provided that are open textbooks, right? So again, these are all bookmarkable. These are things that you want to use at your leisure when you can. Use what you can for the hackathon, all right? And if you get stuck, we have people to help you, and that's the cool thing, all right? There's a lot here, and it all starts with the idea and what you want to do with it. What do we want to focus on? And then what type of app will determine whether you choose Python or R, and what you do code-wise in Python and R if you go that direction. Same thing with Tableau. Tableau visualizes, and I just showed you a visualization. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. There's links up above, and there's also a way to get back to the challenge page, because I know that you folks are going to go back through here, go through these questions, and make sure that you take a methodical approach to the ideation process. So what I did is, when you scroll down to the bottom, you go to the toolkit, and you can jump right back to that page. You can toggle back and forth between them. So it easily allows the team to collaborate and talk about what you want to focus on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask if there's any questions.
Any questions for Cynthia?
I think people are shocked.
People are shocked. So you can absolutely put them in the chat, and we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, Cynthia. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to see what comes of the amazing toolkit that you put together. Also, those what questions should we think about are really great prompts as you start to think about putting your pitch together. So before I share the link for you to use to submit your pitch, I want to just talk about a couple of other things in terms of logistics. I want to share what our awards are going to be this year. And I also want to give you a preview of the rubric so you know what you how you will be judged. So let me reshare my screen. All right. That's where we are. All right, I'm going to present. We're good to go. Okay. Okay. So you should see there is a role for everyone, right? That's what you see on your screen right now? Yes. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So there is a role for everyone at a hackathon, and that's why we all come together, because it's not just about being a developer. And in many cases, you'll have to wear multiple hats as you start to put your project together and look at your project through these different lenses. So in terms of technical roles, we always need front-end developers, app developers, back-end developers, debuggers, and a designer, right? Who's designing that user interface or checking that user interface? So those are our technical roles. I like to think of the designer, though, as somebody who sort of crosses over from technical to non-technical, because it's not just about the technical program, it's also about the design aspect. Where are those buttons placed? What colors are you using? Is it accessible for all people to use? Those are things that you need to consider as a designer. But then we have an ideation person who's keeping you on track in terms of the innovation and how you're addressing the problem. Project manager, who's keeping you on task, right? Moving along so that you're ready to submit your proposal by 1:45 tomorrow and you have a project developed. Who's your domain expert? Who's an expert in this area? Now we're looking at social good. You may live in the community, and that fact alone makes you an expert on the problem that you're trying to solve. Because if it's a problem that directly impacts you or your family, then you are the expert in that, because you're the expert in you and your family, right? You know what troubles you're dealing with and what challenges you have. It may well be that if you are developing a solution for related to educational technology and there's some problem in education that you're designing something for, you may be a teacher, you may have experience with the education industry, you may be a parent who has a child in a school where you see this problem, and that makes you the domain expert. You may be you may be looking to solve a problem in the healthcare industry. You may be a practitioner in that industry, or you may again have been a consumer of those services, and you realize that there's a shortfall in the way that services are provided and what improvements can be made. So again, there are different ways that you become the domain expert. So you may be the domain expert. Writer presenter, hugely important skills, right? We have to be able to write instructions. We have to be able to present our solution. We have to be able to create that presentation. And we have to make sure that everything's written correctly, whatever it is we're building, your website, your app, the key for your map, whatever it is. And then a business and marketing specialist. How do you know there's a need for this in your community? Again, if you're a domain expert, you might have inside knowledge of that. But if you have business skills or financial skills or marketing skills, and you're a specialist in that area, then you may have inside information about where to look and how do you justify the development of this particular solution when there are maybe other similar solutions out there. What differentiates yours? So those are some different roles to keep in mind as you start to pull your teams together and who you need to bring onto your team. Awards. I want to share with you the awards that we're going to be giving out this year. And we have a few. There's a grand prize for the best overall hack, $500 gift cards to all members, up to 5. We're looking for teams not to exceed 5. So please keep that in mind also as you are forming your teams. First runner-up, $250 in gift cards as well. We have a workforce development prize, $250 in gift cards, as well as 2 hours of mentoring with Open Hub to get your ideas launched. Best GIS hack, because that's a special part of our challenge. We're going to be looking for best GIS hacks as well. That's a $250 in gift cards. The Hacker's Choice Award. Now, this is all about you selecting the winner for this competition. Who had the best solution? Really, you get to choose. What do you win? You win bragging rights and a spotlight on Open Hub website and social media. And then the last one, special nomination and a scholarship. It's a $2,900 value of data analytics bootcamp scholarship. So if there's somebody that you see that's really doing an outstanding job, and you want to nominate that person, you can reach out to one of the organizers and we'll make sure that that has been noted, and we'll be looking at that as well. In addition, we will have a raffle to enroll you in the Python course that's being offered at Open Hub, and the follow-up course for that, Python for data visualizations, and we'll be raffling off 3 places for that. All right, so those are our awards this year. Last little bit before you go and do some brainstorming. And so this is our rubric. This is the scoring rubric. And if you look at the left side of the rubric, we have 5 different categories: fit, innovation, functionality, design, and extensibility. So in terms of a fit, does the product address the prompt? So we all know what the prompt is now. Cynthia's revealed that to us. GIS, mapping for social good. So think about that. And how does your solution and what you develop fit into that category or into that theme? You can earn 0 to 3 points, and from the project has very little or no application related to that theme, or it is the content of the project directly addresses the prompt and is functional. So well, that's a different category, but yeah, it's a good fit. So again, 0 to 3 points. Innovation. The chosen technology and design is already deeply established. How innovative? What did you look at? Innovation is not only content driven, but context driven. So remember that as you make your pitches, okay? Just because it's been done before, if it's not happening in your community, it may very well be an innovative solution to what's happening in your community. So innovation is both content and context driven. So keep that in mind. And justify that in your final presentations when we get to that tomorrow. But we go from it's really deeply established within the community to it is really breaks new ground for the community. And functionality, does it work? 20% or less functionality versus up fully functional. Okay, so there's your points for that. Your design. Is the product aesthetically pleasing, and does the design of the product elevate its message? So how is the design connected to what you're doing? And really, if there's little or no design considerations in the final product, that's 0 points all the way up to the message is fully communicated through the design. And then the last one is extensibility. Can the product be easily expanded in the future? So is it sort of a one-time thing and the project is not interactive in any way, and it's really not utilizing a lot of code and it can't be expanded all the way up to the overall project is very clear how it was developed, and it could easily be expanded moving forward. So that's our rubric. Let's see. I see some questions in the chat. I can't see the chat though. We did the big reveal in advance of this because I knew Cynthia had another commitment. And also I wanted to make sure that you had some context for what we were talking about in terms of roles and in terms of the rubric. All right, now, where are we headed next? I have lost my mouse, there I am. So I want to move on to idea pitching and formation, and we were able to do that in less time than we anticipated, which I'm pretty happy about. So it's 4:48. It's 4:48. Yes, it is. So I want to give you some time to really think about what you're going to pitch. Also, I'm going to grab a link. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. There we go. And I want to grab a link for a form that we have where you can sign up to pitch an idea. So I'm going to grab that. And here it is. So you can sign up to pitch an idea on that form. Just fill it out. And I will, based on when the responses were submitted, I'll grab that spreadsheet and you'll be able to, I'll call you to pitch based on the order that they were submitted. Take some time right now. Think about what it is you want to pitch for tonight. And then that'll be the next piece in this process, the next step in this process, where I'll invite you to pitch. So let's see, it is 4:49.
See the link in the chat.
Do you see it?
I see the link in the chat. I see
Okay.
responses
Yep.
right now. I do believe you can edit your response. Yes, if you click on the link that asks for a fresh response and it's supposed you
So it's good, Yulia, it's working?
I think it's working. I see 2 responses.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So I think what we'll do is it is 4:50. I want to start pitching at 5 o'clock. That's my goal. And so in the meantime, take a few minutes, take a deep breath, organize your thoughts, get yourself ready, jot down some notes, submit that form, and we'll come back at 5 o'clock and start the pitch vest. In the meantime, let's see. Oh, Yulia, you got something to add? Go ahead.
It's something in chat. Everyone should fill out this form with their skills, right? Even if we're not pitching the idea.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead. That would be great, because even if you're not pitching, then the team, but you'll have an opportunity, another opportunity to share your skills when you identify the actual team you want to join. But that's a great question, Kyle. Thank you for asking that.
And just hang out through the toolkit.
So,
hang out.
Eric is saying there seems to be 2 separate pitch your idea forms. So I don't know. I don't know where one of them is, but I shared the link in the chat. So if you could use that one, that would be better, because then I have them all in one place. I'm gonna just put that down there one more time. But thank you for that, Eric. There we go. There it is. Yeah. So if you can submit your ideas using that one, that would be fantastic. All right, I'm going to monitor the chat. Let's see, is John still here? John, can you hit us with some music for the next 9 minutes?
Sure.
All right, awesome.
Sure,
So I'm going to turn off my camera, mute myself. John's going to play some music, and we'll be back at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Andrea, I think your link is for 2020.
Oh, I put the
might be
wrong
not
link in there.
accepted.
I thought I
That's
got
what
the
I
right
think.
one. Let's see, it was on the form. Let's see.
It's
It-
on website. It's on the website. Submit your idea, find your team. Copy link address. I'm just checking.
All right, so sorry about that. Give us a minute so we can sort that out. Yulia, do you have a
Yes, I do.
all right, so Yulia's going to put the correct one in there. I apologize, everyone. Thought I grabbed the right one.
Any crazy idea is welcome.
Any crazy ideas welcome. All right.
That's fun. It's just fun. Give it
All
a
right.
try.
Awesome.
Can you guys hear the music?
Thank you, John.
Yep. Good.
All right, Yulia, do you have that spreadsheet ready to go for pitches? Yeah? Right, so,
11 responses so far. Shall we
Okay.
give a little bit more time? Or you can,
no, I think we're good. I think that's good. And I don't know that all of those are pitches. Some people were just filling it out with their roles. One thing I am going to do is I'm sharing a link to the Padlet. And this is where we're going to keep track of the ideas and everything after they're pitched. So as they're pitched, I'm going to take a name, a snippet from what somebody shares and add it to the Padlet. And then you'll be able to go in there and ask questions to the folks that pitch that idea and also sign up for that idea to develop it. Okay, so oops, wait a second. I didn't send it to everybody.
I
Oh,
did,
yes,
I
you did.
did.
All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Yulia did. I sent it just to her. She's the best. Okay, so we do have some folks that have projects idea, and I'm just going to go down the list and ask you if you want to pitch. And if you do, John, can you make sure that they have the ability to take the stage for 60 seconds and pitch their idea once we know?
Yeah, I guess I can. Hang on. Oh, yeah. So they have to raise their hands and then they can unmute themselves
All right,
unless
I
they
will.
those settings.
Perfect. I will call on them then. So
Okay.
it looks based on what I'm seeing, Arna. Well, let me start with Abhishri. Do you have an idea that you want to pitch this year, Abhishri?
I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
I kind of do have an idea, but I'm not too sure about it. But
So you do want to pitch?
yeah, I can do that. So do you want me to start
Your
now
voice
or
got very
try
low,
to-
Abhishri.
Oh, just give me 1 minute.
Last year, Arna and Uphistory teamed up and did something so cool. But this year it has to be data-driven. Oh, so they might accept some data scientists in the team if you have any skills.
So Abhishri, did you want to pitch an idea or are you just looking to be on a team this year?
I'm actually open to both, but I kind of do have an idea which I can pitch. I'm not sure if it's, it's something you can work on, but should I start now with my pitch?
Sure, go ahead and I'll time you.
Great. So actually, I have a brother who has autism. So recently, it's kind of like an education-based idea that I have. I recently went online and I looked around for some like games or some educational games, especially for autistic children to teach them life skills, but I couldn't find any. And there was this just one website which stopped working because Flash has been discontinued. So I was kind of had this idea that maybe we can maybe we can come up with a prototype that kind of shows how we can teach life skills to autistic kids, whether it's as basic as, teaching them how to make an omelet or something more advanced to help them in their life and make them more independent.
And I
All
copy
right.
pasted her idea into the chat if you want it.
Well, I'm adding it to Padlet too right now.
Okay. Meanwhile, it's call for the crowd if you want to support Uphistory with this idea.
All right. So next thing we need is we have, let's see, you did not use 60 seconds. So that was good. Let me look at the next person on our spreadsheet. And Arna, do you want to pitch an idea?
Yeah, so my idea is to create a website so you can help stop global warming and how it's affecting the weather. Also, it's affecting a lot of the environment and animals, so I want to help stop that.
Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna pause you there. So I've added, create a website about global warming and how it affects our river. Is that right?
I heard animals in there somewhere, I thought.
Yeah. Okay, and the life, the animals and all the wildlife in the river. Okay,
Correct them if needed.
yep. Nope, I think we're good. Let's see. Next idea we have on there. Kyle, I just want to clarify, you're looking for teammates, right? You're not looking to pitch. All right, awesome. And then I have Abishri, it was there. Okay, so that's what that was. Dominic, it looks like you're there. Do you have an idea that you want to pitch, Dominic?
Sure, actually. I wanted to address financial stability issues by building an anonymous and automated matchmaking system to help people find work. So employers and employees can anonymously, without knowing each other, be able to solve problems or be able to find work. So that, yeah, something like that. Just an automated and anonymous type of employer-employee kind of thing.
So an automated and anonymous,
Matchmaking.
yeah, employee, employer. Making, okay, cool. All right. Wow, everybody's got quick pitches. All right, I'm gonna cancel that. Let me just, I got a typo here I want to fix.
I just wondering why anonymous.
Oh,
Why it has to be
I wasn't
anonymous?
signed in yet, so I have to go and do the sign-in process. If people haven't done that yet,
please. Yes,
then your
please.
name will start showing up once you do that.
Yep. It's
Okay.
everything is automated.
so let's see. Next one. Patrick, are you just here to help? No pitching?
He will.
Just here to help.
All right. That's
I want to
not
listen to
that.
other people's ideas. I was told I need to listen more.
Oh, and I didn't mean just, trust me. I didn't mean just, right?
Yeah.
Connor, would you like to pitch?
Yes.
All right, the floor is yours.
So my idea was using a sort of GIS map data thing to gather information on the areas to build affordable housing for the homeless, and which areas could be the best to build those that affordable housing, and perhaps what areas of the big problem with vacant housing in Poughkeepsie, and perhaps tearing down some of the vacant housing and building affordable housing where they were, and seeing what areas are optimal for that.
Okay.
So many questions to ask.
There we go. There we go. And identify options. Okay, cool. So let's update that. All right, wonderful. Let's see. And then I just want to confirm with everybody. Ben, you're looking for teammates. You don't want to pitch? Is that Ben? Yeah, Ben.
Yep, correct.
Okay. All right, cool. Math. Adriana, do you want to pitch? Did she say, did you want to pitch, Adriana?
Adriana Fias.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right. No, that's all right. I just wanted to make sure. Matthew, did you want to pitch an idea or are you here to participate?
I didn't submit any pitches, but I thought of a idea that might be at least interesting and possibly useful. So I looked on the GIS data set for, I think, Ulster County, and I noticed it had watershed data there and what areas of land feed into which water sources. So it's kind of it's also known data, who gets their water from which sources. So I'm thinking of something that maybe sources of pollution would be reported either by the community or by the state or somebody. And it could be an application that could use the watershed data to see where that what sources of water that pollution feeds into and who drinks or uses that water.
Wow, that's look fancy. Really cool.
Okay. All right, awesome.
I'll add one if you want me to, in case the topic interests people.
Let's see, I'm still
if you have
going
enough, that's
down.
plenty.
I'm still going down the spreadsheet sheet, so just give me 1 minute, okay, Patrick? I just want to make sure, then we'll circle back. Eric, participating or pitching?
Just participating.
Okay, awesome. And Dev, do you want to pitch?
I think I'm just gonna participate.
Okay, all right, awesome. Patrick, go ahead.
Just something that came to mind. I know there's a lot of traffic issues in Dutchess County, especially city of Poughkeepsie. I know they've had some things that they've sent out to the community for a couple of ideas. And one thing that I was just wondering about, and now that there's data out there, there may be data out there. I did look and there's some traffic data. So I thought, what if around the bridge or something, they decided to instead have like a multi-level traffic circle type thing, but without the data to understand the traffic, it would be hard to know like whether some of those ideas would solve a problem. So it might be good to have some way of taking the data and just doing some what ifs on it and see if, students could solve these issues based on their own understanding of the data and what it would mean. And just try some of these, what I'd call harebrained ideas.
All right, I'm going to add that one too. All right, so all together we have 6 pitches right now. And I'm going to ask you to go to that Padlet. I know that Yulia had shared it a minute ago. I'm just going to copy it and repost it here as well. Take a look at what we have, and you should be able to sign up underneath those pitch ideas, those pitches. So take a look at them, and where you can add a comment, add your name, ask questions if you want.
And Andrea, I have a question.
Sure.
Do we limit people to ideas which pitched, or they can come up with another idea and somehow because they can be inspired with data they will discover later?
They might decide that in their teams. I think these are the pitches that we're rolling with for now, and people pitch these ideas. So these are the ones. And once they're in their teams, they may evolve into something slightly different.
I see another submissions happen right now. LinkedIn for people that want to form workers' co-ops with a service that helps people form workers' co-ops.
Oh,
Andrew, do you want to elaborate on that?
Andrew, do you want to pitch?
Yeah, sure. Would you mind muting?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So my idea here is basically a service that would allow people to connect by like LinkedIn, where you put in your skills, you put in your past jobs.
Your sound is breaking.
Andrew, if you're in the same room as your mom, maybe you use her microphone. No, now it's much worse. Andrew, maybe you should unmute.
Okay, there we go.
All right. Can you guys hear me better?
Yeah, that's much better, Andrew.
Okay, no problem. So
would basically be if people wanted to open up a car wash, you would find someone with accounting skills, some that's worked at a car wash before, somebody with maybe management skills. They'd get together. They would meet up using the social networking portion of the site. And then another service portion of the site would help them get the necessary paperwork, the necessary permits, what have you, for the business portion. So it would be basically a social network with a paid business startup service.
All right. All right, adding that as well. Okay, there we go. So there's our ideas. Now, again, we have 7 of them, and take a look, sign up for one. There may be ones that you want to connect with somebody else that's running something, or or that's pitched an idea that's similar, and connect with those. But go ahead. You sign up and we'll start our team formation using Padlet. So I think Patrick was able to add a question for one of them. So you might want to again, under add comments, add your names, and then we can go into team formation.
Well, good luck, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great
Thanks,
hackathon.
John.
See you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. The one thing is they do have to sign in to get their names in there, and there's a few extra steps. Just FYI.
So if you see the Padlet, make sure it's actually recommended if you create an account, it's free and easy to use. Then we will see who is voting for what, and we're not limited to those ideas, but think about it this way. You're trying to find your teammates with the idea which the most resonate, and you can pivot. I see Benjamin has the emoji, which is saying like done. You're muted, Andrea. Benjamin sucks.
All right. So I don't see any names on, oh, maybe I didn't, you know why? I did not refresh the Padlet. That is why. Okay. Let's see. Now there's lots of names down there. Okay. So it looks like right now we've got teams forming. Let's see. This is what's happened in the past too. We got to pitch our ideas, see what emerges, and which ones we're going to roll with.
Shall I share a screen?
Yes, that would be great. Go ahead. So I'm seeing things on the Padlet with some synergy between number 3 and number 7. I agree, Patrick. Patrick pointed out that and it looks like there's some interest in that. So what I'm going to do for right now is I'll leave them both there. I see some other ones that don't have any hits right now. I'm going to delete some of them that we don't need, just to clean it up a bit.
I see empty 8 and 9.
Yeah,
it's room for others to join.
Yep, I removed 8 and 9. So if you refresh, you'll see that those have disappeared. And then I'm going to remove the other ones where we don't have any interest right now.
There's a value to sign up or sign in. It's free. It costs nothing. So you can see who is doing what here. Sign up.
So
Kyle, do you see anything? What resonates with you?
So Yulia, can you refresh?
Okay.
All right, awesome. So these are the ones we're going to roll with, and it looks like 3 and 7 have sort of merged, I'm thinking. So we have pitch 1 for life skills for people with autism. I think that one will run, maybe. We'll have to see. Pitch 2, create a website about global warming. I think that one might run 2. And then we have pitch 3 for the 3 and 7 for the employment matching, and then pitch 6 traffic issues. So it looks like that's where things have landed. We've got 4 areas. Now, the logistics with moving from here to Discord. I'm going to just
I have a question.
Oh, there's questions? I'm sorry, go ahead. Are there questions?
No, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
So what I'm thinking, this is your starter idea. That's something you're passionate about. And you don't know where the GIS or open data can be applicable yet. So you have to think a little bit broader. You don't need to limit yourself with that. So for example, thinking about people with autism, you can think about public schools versus homeschooling, private schools, and any specialty needs, kids with disabilities, adults with disabilities. So you see, this autism idea is not limited to mapping, because I bet there is no data for people with autism, right? But maybe there is data for public schools versus private schools. Maybe there is a data for any specialty colleges. Think about public transportation for people with specialty needs. Think about other challenges with people with specialty needs. It's kind of accessibility thing.
Yeah, and along, if you have a passion for the autism piece, the other thing is there are organizations that deal with autism, local, at a larger scale, smaller
There you
scale.
go.
Dutchess County
Right.
has a lot,
Yep.
things like Abilities First and the Anderson School. There's probably some open data on where these places are, and maybe start looking at accessibility for both online, but also geographical might be a good way to apply that. So people who want hands-on skills might be able to find that in a more readily available way. I'm just thinking of the challenge here of trying to use data that's out there. Maybe part of it is also take a few minutes and have people who are potentially on these teams to go see if they can find data. I know that's part of the team, but if there is, I guess there's data for everything probably. So
Definitely, but you have to think bigger. You have to think about. I heard Connor pitching earlier, and he said people with disabilities, like mental health disabilities, are looking forward to find their tribe. Maybe there is another angle or approach for that. Okay, so you're free to pivot your idea. Make sense?
Absolutely. I would definitely say explore it. Now, what I am doing in the meantime, because we're going to be here on Zoom, but also I want to assign your rooms in Discord. So just give me 1 minute because I got to find the other room. I'm missing one room. Let's see. Pink team. Okay. So here we go.
Why Padlet is so good. If you
Yeah.
sign up and you can change or comment, all this ideation phase can happen right here with all the crazy ideas adding on each other. It's not only us limiting you, but you also can create or add another idea. So far we see 7, we're just having our input or recommendations about that, but it's up to you. I'm just wondering, would it help people if, oops. Would it help people if I would share the screen with all application, and then you will see, oh, look at this. We got another idea. You still can see my screen, right? Spreadsheet screen. Can you?
Yes, but
yes, we can.
So I see Alex Lizo also.
Right, but he just put into participate, Yulia. There's no pitch there.
I understand, but my question goes to see if you want to find each other and just to collaborate with each other, knowing each other names and who is about what.
Yep.
Would it be helpful for you to get the link to this spreadsheet?
Yeah, I think you should do that. That would be great.
Okay.
Or, are you there? Yeah, or just keep displaying it. Well, actually, I have two screens, so I'm cheating. I'm using the Padlet on one, and I'm looking at your nice spreadsheet on the other.
So let's go back to the Padlet. All right, there we go. We've updated that. We have 4 ideas we're gonna roll with for tonight or for this weekend. And I'm gonna delete this one. All right, Yulia, can you update one more time?
Sure.
All right, fantastic. Combined 3 and 7, and we're good to
Look at
go.
that. Look at that.
So what I did was I assigned each idea to a room in Discord. So again, Yulia, can you share the link to the Discord?
Link to Padlet or link to spreadsheet?
Link to Discord.
Sure, I will do that. And I have the request in the chat. Is it too late to pitch an idea?
Oh,
I think you still
formed-
can do this. Let's see. Let's give Gerald a chance. 1 minute, 60 seconds. Maybe he will have some brilliant idea. Gerald? Can you hear me? Ah, he wants.
He says he
okay.
needs to be unmuted.
Okay, let me do that. Go ahead, Gerald.
Okay, I'm just wondering, what resources are there for people interested in theater in the Hudson Valley? I know I'm thinking about my son who really was a theater opportunities to work and develop his skills. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to find out what theater groups, community groups, what professional productions are going on, and what's available, so that it would help people. And there are a lot of people who want to work in in the entertainment business, just to create some sort of map of where these opportunities are, and how they might people might be able to find them.
Okay.
Is it a separate idea, or it's still idea for the life skills for people with autism?
Or it could also
industry?
be also the business and employee thing. That could be an offshoot when you talk about interests and what you want in the area, geographical, employee versus employer. Could that be a subset or an example of that? Where
Could
the
be.
solution?
I set up a different channel for that if anybody wants to join. So as you go into Discord, you'll be able to see
I'm
that.
not
if you wanna-
volunteering to work on it, by the way. I'm here
what
to
was
help.
that?
I'm
What
not
was that?
volunteering to work on it.
You are not?
I am not, no.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I'm just wondering if there are enough people who are interested in, maybe putting it in or pitching it.
But typically when you pitch an idea, you own the
Gotta
idea.
work on it. Well, I own the idea. So maybe it is, maybe what Patrick suggested is putting it onto the life skills. Which one was it? Pitch 3, the employee-employer matching.
Red team or green team?
Yeah, so let's okay.
After yesterday, I'm
That
not
would be green.
volunteering to do much more thinking.
All right.
Okay, so that would be
So
green
that's-
team. Yeah.
That's another layer that could be on either really
Or,
on the green team. We got some things that definitely there's definitely some crossover there. So let's just move that out of there for now. Okay. So Yulia, if you can refresh one more time.
I think it's refreshed automatically. That's
All
the
right, there we
beauty of
go.
it. So we have four
There we
teams.
go. All right.
Red,
So
blue, green, orange.
and I'm just going to grab the link to Discord one more time.
It is in the chat. It's in the
Okay.
chat.
Awesome.
worries.
Awesome. So if you can,
Do you want me to share the screen so they can see it?
well, it's Julia's sharing now. I was going to share Discord just so that we can.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Oh, you have it? Okay.
There we go. So I'm going to share Discord. All right, so you should all see Discord now. And when you get in here onto HVTechFest Hackathon, on the left, under coding rooms, you will see red team, general text channel, and 2 voice channels. Same thing with blue team, same thing with green team, and then the orange team. And they're also named right there. So I see like Dev's already in the voice channel. So your team can go in there, and Connor's already in that channel as well. So you can go in and you can grab that. Now, we're going to
Why did they need 2 voice channels?
In case subgroups want to break off and brainstorm or do something. If they have more than, a couple people working, you might want to go have a subgroup, grab one of the channels, one of the other voice channels under that team.
Okay.
So I think that is where we are for right now. I just want to check one more thing. So that's Discord. Now, what's going to be happening here? Eileen just joined us. Welcome, Eileen. It's great to have you here. Wonderful to see you. Eileen, we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. So your timing is fantastic. The teams have been formed, and they've all been assigned a Discord channel on Discord where the event's happening after we end things here. And our next step really is to move into some ideation with these teams. So what I would say is, we've been talking a lot. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute here. We did team formation. So at this point, I have like 5 things you could do, right? One was grab a team channel on Discord, which you've all been assigned a team channel on Discord. The other one is when you connect with your team members, make sure you know what your role is. Use the Zoom chat for now, Slack or Discord to find members if you need them. I think we're pretty well set with that, but you never know. Check out that entrepreneurial toolkit on that TechStart entrepreneurial toolkit that Cynthia shared with us earlier. She's got lots of fantastic resources there. And then the last one is attend the rapid ideation session. And I have attend the rapid ideation session at 6:15, but Eileen is here, and Eileen might be ready to start earlier. I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask her that question.
Sure. Thank you so much, Andrea. It sounds great. You have teams. Everybody's rocking and rolling. Let me see in the chat. How's everyone doing? Give me a word. How's it going so I can catch up quick? Anyone?
Or emoji. Or emoji.
Emoji. Great, great. All right. I have some slides somewhere. They're not really that important. So do we need a 5-minute break, or we're afraid people will lose you? You want to take a bathroom break? That was me.
No, all good, all good. So what are you thinking? Do they need time with them like together first?
Yeah, I think maybe so. I think I think that's a really great idea. Why don't it is now, let's see, 5:33. What about 5:45? Eileen, you'll be ready to start then?
Yeah, I'll share screen if we can do that, since my slides didn't come through to you.
Sure.
Perfect. They're not that exciting, but all right. Looking forward to meeting everyone. Take a big bathroom break, talk to your team, and we'll tell you how to get started at 5:45.
All right. Make sure you go into Discord, grab your team, grab your team number or your team color, and start chatting, assign your roles, and join Eileen at 5:45. Fantastic.
Thank you.
And Andrea, you'll make sure everybody gets on a team and that nobody's left behind.
I'm going to be over in Discord checking that out right now.
Okay, I'll be doing that. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Perfect. Quiet time. Checking Padlet. Make sure you know what team you're at. Red team, blue team, green team, and orange team. I will keep posting both links for Padlet just to review the ideas. Again, we're not limited to those ideas, but we're encouraging you to brainstorm and build on those ideas, thinking how open data can be applicable to those. For those of you who do not know who to join, just think about what's most resonate with you. Feel free to travel between 4 teams, red, blue, green, and orange, and to see matchmaking by skills. So here you go. Padlet another time, one more time. Yay. And Discord link. Make sure you're on Discord. Explore, travel, talk. We're not talking on Zoom anymore. Look at this. 10 more minutes on Discord only. Quiet time on Zoom then.
There we go. So Eileen, it's all you.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. And I'm really glad to be here. I think that these type of weekends are so important in seeing what's out there, but more importantly, in learning about yourself, because no matter where you're going to go from this, it's about the experiences you've had and, excuse the expression, how you play nice with others. So I don't really know who we have in the audience, and I don't know, Andrea, if you do, but are most people students? Are you doing this on your own? Please let me know kind of what your status is. Are you looking for a new gig? Are you looking for an internship? Are you a student? Because there is one fact that we know, and I think it's undisputable. Entrepreneurship is a team sport. You cannot go it alone. You need help. You need partners. You need colleagues. You need peers. You need mentors. You need funders. You need marketers. You need influencers. You need a whole bunch of people, researchers, programmers, that is right, to help you get your idea, even if you're the founder. And if you're not a founder, you need other people in the room to help you. So how do we help? How do you help each other? What do you do? The first thing. So you all have an idea. Everyone has a team, right? Write it in the chat. You have a team. You all have an idea. The first thing is to ideate. Idea the idea. It's kind of funny, right? Ideate the idea. But the idea of ideating the idea is to really make sure that you're all speaking the same language, that you all understand the idea in the same way. And I'm going to give you a very simple solution. I was on a weekend in El Paso, a Techstars weekend, where we do more about model, but we have to do some coding and stuff. And so one of the groups was talking about PCs. One part of the group thought PC meant personal computer. The other part thought it meant political correctness. Right? Both are right. We use the term PC. So think about that in your idea and make sure that you're all on the same page, that you understand where you're starting and what you're trying to do. That's one. Two, evolve the idea. Once you start it, think about how you can grow it, what else you can bring in, what else might be applicable, what else you might want to talk about, what else you know about it. Think about all the things that might be related to the idea. You do have to work a little in a team and not get very off track, but that brings us into the third idea, which is blue sky thinking. The blue sky thinking is an old term if you don't know it. It means when you look up, everything is open and wide and possible. No rain that day, so it looks like anything's possible. And that's what we want you to do to ideate. Think about everything possible under the sky. Now, the company that really founded Ideation, and Andrea, you might have a different opinion on this, but it's Disney. And, we all hate to admit that we love Disney, but who doesn't love Disney? And the idea with Disney was, they would say, I want to have a magic carpet ride. And they would dream up this carpet ride and they would think of it. They wouldn't think about, I can't code that. I don't know how. The system doesn't work that way. This can't happen. They would think about everything they wanted. So they would blue sky think, evolve the idea and say, yeah, I want a magic carpet with tassels and fringe and data. I need a data printout. I need a dashboard on my thing. And then they would send it over to the tech team. And the tech team would say, well, we can't do that, but maybe we can do this. And they'd send it back to the design team. So the idea is that when you open it up to the blue sky and you give all the ideas that even might not be possible, the technology and the other thoughts can maybe follow that and help it really evolve a little. Now, is there anyone here, and I don't see you writing in the chat, anyone here who knows anything about improv? You know, improv, when those people get on stage, you know, starting a business is kind of like improv, right? You have an idea, you're bouncing off each other, and they use a tool in improv called yes and. You never say no. No is a stop word. So I think we should do an open data source for distributing Narcan. Narcan is a solution for, when you're in drug distress, when you're coding. So I think we should do something for distributing Narcan. Don't say, no, I don't like Narcan. You should say, yes, and can we include X, Y? So yes, and. Don't try to find a way out of other people's ideas. Try to help them find a way in. So make sure you're all on the same page. Think about what else needs to be included. Think about how big, what else, anything, and then yes, and add to it. It's a nice way of working with your team members and of building. Next slide, please, Andrea. Any questions? Anyone? Okay, I don't see anything. All right. Oh, I don't hear you, Andrea.
I'll watch the chat for you too if there's
Thank
questions
you.
that pop up.
Where are the links for the toolbox? I believe they're in.
Yep.
What?
I have that ready to go. They're in Cynthia's toolbox as well, but I'll make sure everybody has it again before we move from this seminar.
Okay, so that's the big thing. What do you do next? Once you're thinking, your ideas are evolving, you've really got the flow going. Oh, and I just want to talk about that for a minute. Make sure everyone has time to talk. You know, everyone has different skill sets. Some people, language is a little different. So make sure you really spend time to listen to people and make sure you hear them. And then once you kind of have this idea and you're bouncing off each other and you're getting into some flow, then start to talk about team roles. Back to entrepreneurship is a team sport. You can't do it alone. So when are we going to meet? Who will do what? Do we have an influencer? Do we have a coder? What's your interest? Now, remember, on these type of weekends, you show up because you want to, because you have an idea, because you want to learn something more, you want to connect with people. So think about the role that you'd like to play. Do you want to be the leader if it was your idea? Do you want to be a follower? Do you want to try marketing? Do you want to try influencer? Do you want to try an analyst? Think about the different ways. This is a very safe place to try something on that maybe you don't usually do. And maybe that's not your jam. You really just want to, I want to figure out how to use this data source to solve this problem. That's great. But think about how you connect to others. So what else do we need, right? Do we have all the skill set on the team? Do we have analytical people? Do we have programmers? Do we have people that can create an MVP or some kind of prototype, a minimum variable, variable product? Or do we have something we could show? What do we need? What are the skills that don't exist on our team? If you don't have other people to bring in, come back to the main room and Yulia and Andrea and I will help you try to find someone with that skill or tell you where to get it. Who will do what, right? So you want to make sure, like a team, you have a clear game plan, right? And we're not only talking about sports teams, right? That one guy knows he's running the ball and one guy's defensing the ball, or a Quidditch team where one person has to catch the snitch and the other is bludgeoning. Even executive teams in businesses, someone watches the finances, someone else looks at operations, someone else is the technical officer. Think about what role and what lane you want to stay in that role. And then the hard question of by when? When is that doable? And don't just say yes to promise things to people. If you don't think you can get it done, or you're one of those people who you're going to be here for an hour, but not tomorrow, don't do a deliverable or something that has to get done tonight if you're not going to be able to do it. So find a way in, say, yes, I want to help. Yes, I want to do that. By when? And then keep on asking the questions, what's next? Usually, once you've evolved the idea and then everyone has a role and you start to go out, and I like to say, put some wheels or build some padding or build out that idea, you're going to need to come back together and probably do another round of ideation. Did we hit it? Did we miss it? Did we get off the mark? What did we forget? What else is to be included? So you might need to do that twice. So always ask, what's next? What did we forget? What do we need? And remember to ask for help from come back to the main Zoom room. And the final slide, how to keep moving forward. Now, this is a skill in life, in work, in business. How do you keep moving forward? Refine the elevator pitch. Everyone knows by now that an elevator pitch is a 30-second, 1-minute speech of what my idea is. It's using very careful words that actually hone in on what you're trying to do and show the specifics. So make sure that once you all decide that you agree on the idea and you've kind of evolved it, that you all talk about it the same way. We just talked about this. Discuss, revise. Is it getting done? Do we need it? Did we learn something else that we need to put in? Did it raise a problem? Did it solve a problem? So the communication between team members, and you should talk about that. Do you want to text? Do you want to chat? Are you going to do it in Discord? Figure out what your team culture is. You know, how do you want as teammates to communicate to each other? Do you want to have a check-in? Do you want to go off and do your own things and then come back every hour? So you really need to discuss the structure. It's very loose, but that's for you to really decide how we want to connect and make sure we do it. Remember, we have mentors, and it's very important to test your path. If you have an idea, you know, and especially if it's gone through the ideation stage and you thought about what else, and you thought about how big you can make it, and you thought about how you can work, try to test it if you can. Sometimes testing is just as easy as, you know, running a Google search, or sometimes it's asking somebody something. Sometimes it's doing a really quick, you know, little poll on your Facebook or your LinkedIn to your friends about something, but make sure to try to test where you're going. Is it something that will work? You know, is it something that someone else has done? Are we on the right path? And then the point I keep on hitting home for this weekend, the reason that Andrea and Cynthia and Yulia and I and everybody else and Patrick are here is because we want to help you. All of us want you to succeed. We want you to find solutions to big problems. We want you to be able to pitch them and fund them and create them, because all of that makes the community a better place. So make sure that you ask for help and connect with the people here. And that's really the way to move forward. And I'm open to questions. And Andrea, if there's anything you think I left out that you wanted me to talk about or you want to add, feel free. And that's what I have to say about working as a team together and ideating your idea forward. So thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you so much, Eileen. That was great. All great advice. All great advice. I think the next step in all of this is for teams to really start to think about where they are, what they're doing, and start to put a game plan together. First thing, define those roles. And like Eileen said, commit to what your role in that process. What are you going to do? What are you working on? How does it connect back to the vision that the team has established and the product that you're creating? And get started with doing that piece of it. But take some time before you jump into creation to stick with ideation for a bit. Talk to each other, build on each other, right? And make sure that you're all in agreement that you're working on the same solution to the same problem. Like Eileen used a great example, PC, right? It means different things to different people. but make sure that you all have the same understanding and that you have a defined role. If you've made a commitment to be here, make sure that you can deliver on that commitment, whatever you commit to tonight, and start doing that. Let's see, there's a couple of questions. I just want to address some logistics. And if you are here, if you showed up late and you're looking to join a team, I'll share the Padlet with everybody again. Let me just go and grab that. I've got to find it. Here we go. Padlet with 4 teams formed. Okay. And then you can go back to Discord, and the teams are all outlined in Discord on the left. So you can jump in and you can talk to those teams on Discord. All right. And you can make sure that you want to participate on that team. And I'm not sure, I just want to ask everybody a question. We may have dropped down to 3 teams. I'm going to stop sharing. We may have dropped down to 3 teams. Is the global warming team operational or not? Let's see who, Arna, do you want to, is Arna on here? Oh, there she is. Yes. Arna, are you moving forward that, or did you join the team about autism? Maybe you can put it in the chat if you can't unmute. All right, I'm not sure. It doesn't look like anybody's working in that space on Discord. I think they were the blue team, so perhaps not. So we'll.
Arna.
Oh, go ahead, Arna.
What were you talking about? I couldn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. So are you going to be pursuing the idea of the global warming site, or are you joining a different team?
I'm joining a different team.
Okay, so that one's not operational. Got it. Got it.
Which one?
Oh, which team did you join, Arna? So she's off. I think I saw her name in Discord under the red team that's pursuing the autism solution. Yeah,
yes,
I think
yes.
that's what it was. Yeah. So if you, oh, there you go. Thank you. So Yulia has put in the chat the link to the toolkit that Cynthia developed, along with the link to the Hackathon Challenge. Under the link for the toolkit is that link to the Stektar's entrepreneurial toolkit. And that is a great place for your team to start tonight. All right.
Everyone is in Discord.
I think everyone's on Discord. If you're not on Discord, make sure you put something in the chat. We're going to keep Zoom open for a bit, just so that I'm going to hang out. I'm going to monitor that chat and just be here if anybody wants to connect here. We'll keep this open. Otherwise, you can work in Discord, and we'll be monitoring the chat there too. If you have any questions, you can.
We're transitioning fully to Discord from now on. You see how we were transitioning back and forth. Now we're fully on Discord till tomorrow. What time? 2 p.m.,
Well,
right?
Right. I think that's what we said, or 1:45.
1:45.
1:45, we'll be back here.
I'm wondering, we passed rapid ideation around their ideas, so we still want to provide any feedback if teams do want it.
For right now, yeah. So what I'm going to do, Yulia, is
Rapid
I'm going to
ideation.
maybe I'll keep Zoom open until it's 6:04. How about I keep the Zoom open until 6:45, and if people want to hang out, or if they have questions or whatever, they can just put it in the chat, and we'll meet them here.
Well, or they could Slack. I thought we said we'd also have Slack, so they could
Yep.
Slack,
Yes.
and then you could
Slack.
join us in Discord for an actual
Yep.
voice if needed. Right.
Yep. So I'll keep Zoom open until 6:45, and this way, if anybody has any questions or wants to join, or just if you have questions, if your team wants to go through a rapid ideation activity or just wants to talk through something, we'll stay here, and I'll stay here and hang out. And when you're ready, we'll.
We
but I
are
think
your resource. Kind of not mentors yet, but we can just rapidly ideate.
we can help for sure. And then we will shut Zoom down then at 6:45. And then the
Yay.
whole event will move to Discord at that time. Okay. Any questions, put them in the chat. Go join your team. They're the most important people right now. They're the most important people you can connect with and start those conversations with, and pop in here if you have questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, bug me. I'm all about it.
You're all assigned?
All right,
Got your team?
everybody. I'm just gonna mute myself and I'll be hanging out. So if you don't, even if you don't see me, put it in the chat. I'll be watching that.
Perfect.
All
Thank you so
right, I'll see you on Discord and Zoom if you need me. Bye.